Good morning, good morning. Shout out to everybody this morning. Organic Minds, episode 8. I think it's dope to have everybody in the same room, to get all the followers together, to make everything shake, to make everything click. I think it's super important. I want to say good morning to everybody. Give me a second. Let me turn my Bluetooth off. Say good morning, good morning. I just wanted to make sure we was all good. Hold on, y'all. We're going to have a good show this morning. I try to stay as consistent as possible. It's been a lot going on lately. Just staying focused to it, staying consistent. I was telling people yesterday I still be doing some morning convos because people just love, I noticed, and I've been talking to a lot of people lately, just me tapping in with the people that ain't always videos and knowledge and information. Let me see. Let me get this key in there. I got Instagram. Let me get that going. But good morning, man. A lot of people up this morning on their way to work. I at work already. For all my smokers who already had their wake and bakes, stay at it. All my people that's always been tapped in with me, give everybody a second to kind of get in the room. You know what I mean? But we got a couple good things this morning. One, we're gonna talk about what they saying now. Nipsey family is saying that that Diddy has something to do with his murder. So I'm gonna bring you a short footage on that. We're gonna talk about 3 pyramids that you don't know exist in America. We also gonna talk about a documentary on COINTELPRO, which is about, about the Black Panthers, the real Black Panthers, not the cartoon. And then I want to bring y'all just some good content. So early on, we're gonna do the current event, which is the news, but then we also going to talk about this. It's a show I'll be watching called Soulless Cheaters. And the world getting so out of hand today, like it's crazy, right? So first, I'm gonna get to this first new clip to get the morning started. I want to say good morning, all my wake and bakers. Go ahead and wake and bake. You know what I'm saying? I don't know a lot of morning drinkers, but take your shot. Let's sit down. Let's have this conversation. I want to say good morning to all the women that's always been tapping in watching me. Everybody that's always been in tune with me. Good morning to all of the men that's tapped into me, the teenagers that watch me, all of our elders who watch me, who give me feedback, and everybody, good, bad, and difference. We got to take this journey together. Shout out to my core following, the people that's been rocking with me and following me that I talk to on a regular basis to get everything together and get everything done. But let's start with this first video with Nip.
County prosecutors are laying out their case against the man charged in the Grammy award-winning rapper NIPSEY HUSSLE. During opening statements, they told the jury that it was premeditated, but as Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes explains, the defense attorney telling the court a different story.
What kind of conversations did you and Diddy have? Because you and Diddy formed a relationship, I assume through Lauren London and Cassie. And
Yeah. Bug threw me the alley-oop,
It looks like the Nipsey Hussle case runs deeper than we thought, because now that Diddy's being investigated for RICO, new information has emerged that is alleging that Diddy might have put a hit on Nipsey after he refused to get involved in his notorious freak-offs. So let's get into this and uncover what's really going on and if there is any truth to that. Now, this isn't the first time we are hearing something like this. A few months back, Jaguar Wright made similar claims. According to Jaguar, if Diddy was capable of harming Tupac, he might have had a role in Nipsey Hussle's death too. She claims Nipsey was on his way to becoming as influential as Pac. And if Nipsey was starting Diddy's empire, that made him a target. Then there's this whole angle with Nipsey's baby mama, Lauren London. Jaguar says that Diddy used Lauren to get to Nipsey, even though she had people close to her who'd been mistreated by Diddy. Lauren was close friends with Cassie, who, as we all know, was deep in Diddy's world. Diddy might have planted Lauren as a way to control Nipsey from the inside. Nipsey himself shared on The Breakfast Club that he met Diddy through Lauren, which throws a whole new light on how their connection started.
Lauren introduced me to Puff.
Oh, got you.
I mean, I knew Puff, but it was more of a personal relationship after, we was at Cassie's birthday, something like that,
What made you want to get an old Diddy and put him on young nigga?
That's crazy. Nah, Diddy chose young, try to get him more rap.
Lauren London and Cassie were known for hitting up Diddy's parties. If Lauren was attending Diddy's events, it raises questions about what else she knew about Diddy.
Hey, see, we're gonna take this back for a second because I'm gonna let it play through and then I'm gonna run it back because I got something to say about a lot of this things that I noticed before as well. So I'm gonna let it play through and then I'm gonna come back and then we're gonna double back on this.
Diddy. And then there's Capricorn Clark, who's supposedly Lauren's sister. She's posted some cryptic messages about wicked paths and staying away from evil. Sources claim that Capricorn once got into it with Diddy over Cassie, which led to Diddy manhandling her. If all of this is connected, it paints a picture of a much darker world than anyone realized. The official story says Nipsey was taken out by Eric Holder over a personal beef, but Wright's suggesting that there was a lot more at play. She's implying that Holder was a scapegoat and that the real came from within, hinting that Diddy and Lauren had a role in setting up Nipsey.
How was Faith Evans any different than Lauren London? How? No difference at all. Struggling artists trying to make their way up, not getting the break that they needed. All of a sudden they stand next to the right guy and then now you know that guy is dead and they're okay for life. Right. You know how many people in the business that happens to?
Jaguar says that this might have been a calculated move by Diddy to keep control over Nipsey's rising influence. Lauren was in his circle long before she became a household name, and Wright's got plenty to say about how Diddy's connections might have led her to Nipsey. And we all know that Diddy kept women like Young Miami and Daphne Joy on his payroll to his dirty dealings, as per Lil Rod's lawsuit. According to the streets, Diddy feared Nipsey might reveal secrets, just like Lisa Left Eye Lopez supposedly to do. We all remember what allegedly happened to Left Eye, right? There are rumors she was taken out because she knew too much. If Nipsey was sitting on some explosive info about Diddy, it could have put him in a dangerous position. It's no coincidence that Diddy had a hand in producing Nipsey's Victory Lap. Wright claims Diddy might have delayed the album's release on purpose to maintain control. Was he trying to keep Nipsey under his thumb? It's another theory that makes you question Diddy's motives and his influence over Nipsey's career.
Jokes like, now you gonna be finally respected. See your blood. Yeah, yo, that You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like go back.
Then we have Whack 100's claim about an explicit tape he's supposedly holding on to. Now, he's been cagey about what's on it, but he's hinted it involves Nipsey in a compromising situation. Some folks think this tape might have come from one of Diddy's infamous freak-offs. If this is true and Nipsey got caught up in those freak-offs, it could explain why Diddy might have had something to hold over him. Whack's refusal to release the tape or even clear the air as to what it is all about is also super weird.
And I've been the one refusing to let it come out. I don't even own it.
And now, Gene Deal, who used to be Diddy's bodyguard, is also revealing some new info about Diddy's involvement with Nipsey. Gene says that Nipsey allegedly wanted Diddy to give Victory Lap the same vibe as Biggie's Life After Death.
And that what he said was, I need my music and my album to have the same feel of that life after death, like Biggie's album.
And according to Gene, this was Nipsey's biggest mistake. Deal's message was clear. When you roll with Diddy, you're playing with forces that are way bigger than fame and fortune.
You taking a spiritual person who's asking for something. He said, I wanted that same feel as life after death. That same feel was that Biggie got, and he went on to sell about 10 million albums or 10 million copies. I was saying, you gotta watch what you say to demons, because it just might come true.
Nipsey was on his way to become one of the most influential and powerful rappers, but his life was cut short very tragically. Honestly, if any of these allegations about Diddy having to do something with Nipsey's death are truth, I hope justice is served. This new info has left fans shook. One user says, I believe her. Nip has chilled in front of his store for days. So
I would say this, I'm gonna bring this back because this kind of tap into something deeper than all of this. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely gonna bring this whole video back because I want to talk. It's some things that I noticed too. When Nipsey first died, the first thing I wanted to know was who the fuck benefited off of his death? That's the first question. Who financially would benefit off of Nipsey's death? So for a minute, I couldn't figure it out. And then the pieces started falling together. It was Jay and Diddy. Every time you seen Nipsey, when he was doing, they was at his store and all, it was on Revolt. Diddy on Revolt. When it came down to his website in the clothing store, the first exposure, Jay-Z had something to do with that. You know what I'm saying? Like he had business dealings with them too. You know what I'm saying? He always told you he studied the game. But but when we talk about coward niggas, a lot of niggas in the industry, a lot of niggas in a lot of businesses that we dying to get into as real niggas or black men or women or you know what I mean? We dying to get into these industries because we see them as avenues of feeding our family and being the best way that we can. But the reality of it is we really setting ourselves up for the bullshit. We just at a time now that when I bring this to you, years ago when I was talking about some of this and what they doing behind the scenes, I don't think y'all would have understood. But now I believe y'all feel me because it's all being exposed. See, being an artist who turned down so many deals, I was able to see like these people not gonna believe me when I go back home. They're gonna look at me as a failure. But it's a lot of people that's gonna do whatever it takes to go there, right? But I think that this Nipsey shit is deep because Diddy had a lot to do with it. I noticed that Lauren, there's an interview with Lauren and Angie Martinez, right? And in this interview, Angie asked Lauren, this is when I really knew something was wrong. She was like, y'all heard at the funeral that you almost didn't make it. And she was like, yeah, da-da-da. Now, some people say, well, yeah, she was mourning so bad she didn't want to go with her. I say, yeah, I hear you. But nah, she was like, Diddy called me that morning. Diddy. And she was like, and he was like, he gave me inspiration. He was like, yo, you was his woman in life. So you gotta play that role in death. Did you hear what he said? You gotta play that role in death. And then she said that Diddy was the one that kind of got out of her sad space. And it was kind of like, huh? So you mourning and you Diddy the person? Then I remember Cassie kept saying that her best friend was cheating with Diddy. Lauren's her best friend. You get what I'm saying? So let's go back a little bit and start from the top so we can really dissect this before we move forward.
County prosecutors are laying out their case against the man charged in the Grammy award-winning rapper Nipsey Hussle. During opening statements, they told the jury it was premeditated, but as Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes explains, the defense attorney telling the court a different story.
What kind of conversations did you and Diddy have? Because you and Diddy formed a relationship, I assume through Lauren London and Cassie. And
Yeah. Bug threw me the alley-oop, you know.
It looks like the Nipsey Hussle case runs deeper than we thought, because now that Diddy's being investigated for RICO, new information has emerged that is alleging that Diddy might have put a hit on Nipsey after he refused to get involved in his notorious freak-offs. So let's get into this and uncover what's really going on and if there is any truth to that. Now, this isn't the first time we are hearing something like this. A few months back, Jaguar Wright made similar claims. According to Jaguar, if Diddy was capable of harming Tupac, he might have had a role in Nipsey Hussle's death too. She claims Nipsey was on his way to becoming as influential as Pac. And if Nipsey was starting Diddy's empire, that made him a target. Then there's this whole angle with Nipsey's baby mama, Lauren London. Jaguar says that Diddy used Lauren to get to Nipsey, even though she...
And I'm gonna say this. Okay, so with Big, right? Faith admitted, like not in Jaguar, and the book that just came out by Kim Porter, she was saying that like he used Faith to get to Big. You know what I mean? Because this the industry. They know, like, black men, see, we stupid. It's easy to manipulate us with women, especially when we're not paying attention. You send a celebrity, a girl that looks super good, well, meanwhile, she your handler. See, really the person that's been lining you up for all of this shit in the first place. And it's just possible that we gave Lauren a pass without even clearly investigating her. You know what I mean? This real. And just like when it come down to other things, we ain't got to say that, oh, she guilty, but it's something not right, because it's some pictures she took with Diddy where he looking at, when she walking, she got all black on, but the way in these pictures, and like the way he was looking at her, you could tell something wasn't right. You could tell something wasn't right. So when you talk about what Faith Evans and Jaguar is saying is just like Faith, what's the difference? There's no difference. And we don't realize there's no difference to this shit. You know what I mean? So that's what makes this even a sicker thing. than what we even would ever be aware of or even know. You know what I'm saying? So think about that. So Lauren said that she only went to the funeral because Diddy told her. The pictures with her and Diddy where he was looking at her body, it looked weird. The internet went crazy for a minute, but they kind of hushed that shit and put it under the rug. Next, you see that we got Lauren. It's kind of like at the funeral, when you go back and look at the footage, it's weird. It's super weird. And we gave her such a quick pass, right? And we're not looking at it in its proper form. What we are not recognizing with Diddy is that Diddy had a lot to do with it. That's why it started bothering me, because when you go look at the videotapes of Diddy and Nipsey, and like the studio, they in like a studio, but it's like a bedroom. So that's the first thing that was like, okay, hold the fuck up. Like, what's going on? Is that the only way to hip hop and doing this shit? And wonder why certain people ain't successful and why things are going on in hip hop and in the business. That's why Suge Knight said, even though this happened to Diddy, it make hip hop look bad, because Suge meant that now everybody know that everybody that you think so successful and doing all of this and doing it big, a lot of niggas getting ran through like females, right? A lot of they doing sex, they giving head to these VPs, they boot they doing all of this shit. Meanwhile, the people that really got the talent of the situations and shit, they being pushed to the side because they're not willing to do that shit. And today it's such an open world, like they prep the world for this shit. Now the younger generation, when they get a record deal, they probably not gonna feel no way about fucking and sucking, because why? Because they grew up their whole life. I'm talking about 20 and under, 21 and under. They grew up their whole life watching men kiss on TV and all that shit. That shit normal to them. So they're not gonna look at it the same way we looked at it. They already broke their mindset on how they look at this situation because of what they did and how they went about it. But I think it's weird as hell that Lauren been knew Diddy. And he said it like, yo, Bug gave me the alley-oop. You know what I'm saying?
She had people close to her who'd been mistreated by Diddy. Lauren was close friends with Cassie, who, as we all know, was deep in Diddy's world. Diddy might have planted Lauren as a way to control Nipsey from the inside. Nipsey himself shared on The Breakfast Club that he met Diddy through Lauren, which throws a whole new light on how their connection started.
Lauren introduced me to Puff.
Oh, got you.
I mean, I knew Puff, but it was more of a personal relationship after, you know, we was at Cassie's birthday, something like that, you know.
What made you want to get old Diddy and put him on young nigga?
That's crazy.
He said, I knew Lauren, but we was at Cassie's birthday. They was lying to him the whole time. I peeped this about Nipsey Light. Just like he said that he was at a Lakers game and bro that did the land and the vector, all that that he came over there and he said like, yo, bro, they were sitting next to each other. And he was like, yeah, man, I want to, hey, Nip, what up, man? I want to draw something. So what's the chances of you sitting next to somebody like that? And it ain't kind of set up. They know where you gonna be. They get the seats. It's like, this shit is a business. This is the game. And then he started talking to Nip. Everything Nip was involved in, it seemed like it was placed around him in some sense, right? They knew what he could bring to the table. See, as an artist, or if you own a business or as a personality, know your worth, because everybody gonna be pulling and attaching themselves to you, and you gotta be smarter. So some people used to get offended with me because they used to call me like, hey, bro, like, yo, I got this platform, come on to my shit. And it was just like, nah, I'm trying to be rude, but it was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this under my platform the proper way so that I can, you know what I'm saying? Because I can't, it's not that I wouldn't do it, but I can't trust most of these motherfuckers out here with $10, $20, $50, $100. So how the hell I'm gonna trust you with my career or the money involved in the business when business not being handled or understood, if we get there, right? So him being at that party, that's one. Him being Lauren that day, knowing that's Cassie's best friend, who sent her? Because Nip, don't get me wrong, we all know Nip get girls and all that shit, but it's like, at the end of the day, Lauren is on, she technically would be on another level. When she went after Nip, of course he gonna pay attention. Of course she could lead him because she knew Diddy. That's how it was to line him to get to Diddy. Of course she probably liked him too and got to like Nip. But at the same time, remember, they also was having personal problems in their relationships at that time. They say that Nipsey won't even staying at home. He was back, like he basically was back and forth, but he was still messing with his baby moms and shit. But they weren't together technically. That's why she was in her feelings. It speaks even more. At the same time, if you know the play going on, you also ain't going to go to the funeral either. This hip hop for you. Motherfuckers be thinking, y'all look on TV and y'all see these rappers and these ball players with these super beautiful girls. Half of these girls were sent to them to control them, they money, they everything about them. You know, you want to control somebody, I send you a woman that's really my woman, but I got a bunch of women I send to you and you fall in love and they controlling you, all the money you spending, it's really coming to me. I get rid of you, you marry her, your money go to her, she gonna bring it to me. That's pimping on a whole nother level. This is what they doing. You get a deal, you meet these beautiful women, these lawyers, they sent them to you. They're a distraction. That's why I say, if you're going to do something, you better know who it is. You better know what you got and who you're dealing with before you get to the industry. And it's hard enough already dealing in the world today with people because the world fake as shit. You can't trust nobody. You can't trust nobody. You know what I mean? You can't even depend on people because they're so quick to switch up on you.
Nah, Diddy chose young, try to get him more rap.
Lauren London and Cassie were known for hitting up Diddy's parties. If Lauren was attending Diddy's events, it raises questions about what else she knew about Diddy. And then there's Capricorn Clark, who's supposedly Lauren's sister. She's posted some cryptic messages about wicked paths and staying away from evil. Sources claim that Capricorn once got into it with Diddy over Cassie, which led to Diddy manhandling her. If all of this is connected, it paints a picture of a much darker world than anyone realized. The official story says Nipsey was taken out by Eric Holder over a personal beef, but Wright's suggesting that there was a lot more at play. She's implying that Holder was a scapegoat and that the real came from within, hinting that Diddy and Lauren had a role in setting up Nipsey.
How is Faith Evans any different than Lauren London? How? No difference at all. Struggling artists trying to make their way up, not getting the break that they needed. All of a sudden they stand next to the right guy and then now you know that guy is dead and they're okay for life. Right. You know how many people in the business that happens to?
Jaguar says that this might have been a calculated move by Diddy to keep control over Nipsey's rising influence. Lauren was in his circle long before she became a household name, and Wright's got plenty to say about how Diddy's connections might have led her to Nipsey. And we all know that Diddy kept women like Young Miami and Daphne Joy on his payroll to his dirty dealings, as per Lil Rod's lawsuit, according to the streets.
Meaning that Diddy understood how to use the women around him as a form of controlling power. Jaguar, a lot of people, some people, I hear some people come to me and they be like, man, nah, but y'all can't tell me, regardless of how y'all feel about it, you can't tell me she lied about anything yet. And when we talking about celebrities with millions and millions of dollars who can sue you, Tasha K, Cardi B ain't even half as rich as some of them, and she sued Tasha K for putting out the wrong information online, and also was able to put a gag on them. So tell me why these celebrities ain't said nothing to Jaguar. See, the difference that we don't like what they doing and what is being true or not. See, I learned that it's a lot of real fake motherfuckers who don't like people who tell the truth. Just like that. I know a lot of real fake motherfuckers who don't like people who tell the truth. And that's what it's about. In every industry, at the end of the day, you got gatekeepers every place, every city, everywhere. So when you see sometimes people grinding and doing whatever, you got to ask yourself sometimes, like, what is it about this person? Or what is it about whoever that they can't control or that they can't benefit off of that's stopping them from fucking with this person? What is it? Because they say you can't be blackballed. You can be blackballed out the main circuit. You just can't be blackballed off your own engine if you create it. But you could be blackballed off of in a business circle in public. But I just think it's interesting. That's why I brought this back with this Diddy. When I seen this, it bothered me. But I already was aware of it because it was a picture they took right before Nipsey died with Diddy in the middle of Lauren and Nip, but Nip looking at bro like, fuck you in the middle of me and Lauren for? Fuck you in the middle of us for? And that shows you. And Lauren kind of like, nigga, like the picture is crazy. So I just want y'all to look for some of this stuff I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? And you'll see that the evidence is there that's saying like, is Lauren one of Diddy girls? But we gotta say, oh, he just lucky. Nothing is by coincidence. She was sent to Nip. When she started messing with him, it made everybody around the world be like, well, who this dude that Lauren messing with? Lauren said she can't. I remember. Lauren, originally they asked him how he met Lauren, and he was like, yo, they hit him up because she was trying to get some CDs. She was trying to get his album, that $100 mixtape or $100 album from Nipsey for a few friends. But who are those friends?
Diddy feared Nipsey might reveal secrets, just like Lisa Left Eye Lopez supposedly to do. We all remember what allegedly happened to Left Eye, right? There are rumors she was taken out because she knew too much. If Nipsey was sitting on some explosive info about Diddy, it could have put him in a dangerous position. It's no coincidence that Diddy had a hand in producing Nipsey's Victory Lap. Wright claims Diddy might have delayed the album's release on purpose to maintain control. Was he trying to keep Nipsey under his thumb? It's another theory that makes you question Diddy's motives and his influence over Nipsey's career.
Jokes like, now you gonna be finally respected. See your blood.
Yeah, yo, that you know what I'm saying? I don't feel like go back.
Then we have Whack 100's claim about an explicit tape he's supposedly holding on to. Now, he's been cagey about what's on it, but he's hinted it involves Nipsey in a compromising situation. Some folks think this tape might have come from one of Diddy's infamous freak-offs. If this is true and Nipsey got caught up in those freak-offs, it could explain why Diddy might have had something to hold over him. Wack's refusal to release the tape or even clear the air as to what it is all about is also super weird.
And I've been the one refusing to let it come out. I don't even own it.
And now, Gene Deal, who used to be Diddy's bodyguard, is also revealing some new info about Diddy's involvement with Nipsey. Gene says that Nipsey allegedly wanted Diddy to give Victory Lap the same vibe as Biggie's Life After Death.
And that what he said was, I need my music and my album to have the same feel of that life after death, like Biggie's album.
And according to Gene, this was Nipsey's biggest mistake. Deal's message was clear. When you roll with Diddy, you're playing with forces that are way bigger than fame and fortune.
You taking a spiritual person who's asking for something. He said, I wanted that same feel as life after death. That same feel was that Biggie got, and he went on to sell about 10 million albums or 10 million copies. I was saying, you gotta watch what you say.
See, pay attention to what Gene said. He said, when you take a spiritual person, he didn't just say when you take a rapper. He didn't just say when you take an artist. He's identifying that Nipsey's spiritual energy, Nipsey's spiritual being. They wanted it. They wanted, when they say soul, his energy, they wanted it. I wouldn't be surprised, not being funny, if after they killed Nipsey, they drunk his blood. This the type of wickedness we dealing with in the industry and in behind the industry, the demonic shit or whatever you want to call it that's running this planet. Right? I'm dead serious. I wouldn't be surprised because they say the information in the blood. And you wonder why they got coats that's out here drinking blood. But he said when you take a spiritual being and a spiritual being as somebody with entities and demonic things behind them that's deeper than you could imagine, and say, hey, that's like going to, technically, if you believe in religion, it's like you not knowing you talking to the devil and saying like, yo, I need the same deal you gave Biggie, nigga. Listen, I don't know if y'all remember, before Gene interview was like a month ago, I had a conversation about this when Nipsey said this. They exposed this like a year and a half ago. I went live and was like, I can't believe he said that. Just to show you that I was in tune. If you know me, you know what I'm talking about. I knew when I heard that interview a year and a half ago when they played it and he was like, yeah, I said, yo, he didn't even realize what the fuck he asked for. It was like asking the devil, like, you know, you got all the gifts of nature and God. You one of the chosen ones, and you go and you like, yeah, man, I want the same deal as, you know what I'm saying? But the nigga you talking about, he ain't here no more. So Diddy was like, bet, I got you. You want to sell records like Big? You want to be big? And he gave him everything he asked for. Everything. And I hope that this conversation make you feel some way. All my young aspiring artists, rappers, singers, yo, get some knowledge about yourself and go do some business. Learn how to do videos, get your crew together, get right. Know the obstacles that's coming in front of you. Have some shit on your shoulders, because you should know that the more you try to be a boss and an independent nigga, minus the TV, minus the money, your people and the peers, a lot of people gonna laugh at you because they programmed to see you in a way that that others look at you, not for who you are and what you offer the community spiritually or what you do and how good you are. I caught myself online arguing with rap niggas or people who started sounding like the white men that own these labels, who was sitting there telling me shit that I didn't want to hear, like trying to tell me, like, for example, I'm on live talking niggas about music. We supposed to be talking about, is the music hot or not? And I meet fans of people, yo, how many followers you got on TikTok? Like it fucking matters. Think about that. No other genre of time when you meet an artist and Prince gave you some music, any of these niggas gave you some music, if you bought it, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to check it out and tell you if I like it. Now it's like, yo, you on TikTok? You on this? Oh, you got 3 million subscribers. Oh, bro, that's lit. Oh, let me follow you, bro. And then all of that fake ass shit happened after that. And then I see 30, 40-year-old men doing this shit still. No character, no nuts. I know half of the black men can't lead no woman nowhere. Because we too caught up. Look at as much as I talk about, you know, the problem with black, well, let's talk about black men for a second. Look at how thirsty we are for some fucking fame. Look how greedy we are for a couple dollars because we need them. But most of us ain't men. If we ain't got a consistent 9 to 5, and not even that, let me say it this way: if your money ain't right and make it comfortable, because it ain't your job. If your money not right, and you dealing with a woman or in a position where people are way above you and doing better than you, but you all right, a lot of people gonna feel less than. A lot of people spiritually not in the right place. Because ain't nothing wrong with going to get some money, take care of your family, or want to live nice. But that shit ain't got nothing to do with your character. I tell a lot of people I'm cool with, like, whether if you a woman or a man, yo, I got a house. That don't make you a good person. Because I know people that never worked a day in their fucking life but inherited money, whose parents got their money handed down from slavery or crime. That don't make you a good person. I don't care how much money you got, the cars you drive, the clothes you got, what you got, the jewelry you got on, how many friends you got, how many women you got. That don't make you a good person. How many boyfriends you deal, how many niggas you creeping with. That don't make you a good person. A lot of people be talking like they good people, but they're not really good people. I walked around and I watch a lot of people who got good intent, but not good people. So be careful. So that's why I wanted to express this and this being the first video, because yes, I learned this about a year ago about how much Diddy was involved in Nipsey's death, because the two people that would benefit the most is Diddy and Jay. Think about it. But Nipsey, being spiritual, he went to a demon and asked him to bless him. So this is what I never understood. Part of the all money and illusion I call it an illusion because it's real, but a part of it wasn't. Nipsey had deals, but he said he didn't. At the same time, if you're independent, you already got a store, you already selling records independently, right? You already got money, you already getting the bag, you already got the actress as a woman. What do you need a record deal for? Why did you work so hard? Because less than a year after he signed that deal, or a year or so, he was dead. Come on, bro.
Say the demons, because it just might come true.
Nipsey was on his way to become one of the most influential and powerful rappers, but his life was cut short very tragically. Honestly, if any of these allegations about Diddy having to do something with Nipsey's death are truth, I hope justice is served. This new info has left fans shook. One user says, I believe her. Nip has chilled in front of his store for days. So for someone to randomly...
Hold on, I'm going to show y'all that Lauren jump before we move forward. Watch. I'm going to show y'all.
You seemed.
See if we can find it. Hold on, y'all.
Power 106.
Don't hide. I want the whole.
Andrew Martinez.
If you don't know how to make chords, this is it.
You can drag one of these chords.
Real life podcast. Chapter 1. We're all gonna die. Lauren London was the first person on my brain when I thought about having this podcast because of a couple of reasons. Number one, I think she's super dope. I think you're super dope. And also, I think there's a lot to learn from you. Are you weirded out by talking and doing interviews and sharing just what your life has been like?
Not to you. And I guess I'm kind of like learning how to do that in this new space because I'm learning so much about myself now and I've changed so much. So like, talking from this space, it's new. So I'm not talking a lot.
You haven't done a lot at all.
No.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Honestly, in talking to people, I just want to be intentional and I want it to be a safe space because then what am I saying for real?
Yeah. And there's so many not safe spaces now because everybody's talking. There's a podcast everywhere. There's an interview show, there's a radio show everywhere and people are competing. So they tend to
clickbait.
Yeah, they want clickbait and just what the intentions are. Like, the intentions are not always that, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do this. I really wanted to have conversations with people because I need inspiration just like everybody else does. And I really wanted to talk to people that I could get good energy from, share good energy with, and then put that out in the world. So that was one of the reasons. But then when I told you the name, I was a little nervous. I was like,
you were.
I was nervous because when you've experienced so much, I feel like I want to be sensitive to you. But then I thought to myself, is that like annoying to her that everyone would want to treat you with kid gloves or be sensitive or treat you differently? Like that has to be a big thing in the past couple of years.
It's been a big thing.
Crazy.
I really am grateful for it when it's genuine. I don't really like when it's.
And then I said too publicly, I said if after Nipsey dies, Lauren becomes this huge actor, like one of the biggest actors in the world, like her whole career takes off. In time, we gonna learn.
Pity. I feel when it's pity. I feel when it's like, I couldn't imagine going through that. Well, I think the pain, I think we have fear of people dying, so we don't want to face it yet until it's in our face. So to already have to, you don't
whether you have
really
fear or
know.
not, it's going to happen.
Yeah, but you don't know till it's at your front door. I always say the front row at the funeral is different. When you have to sit on, I've been at a lot of funerals.
I bet.
I've never sat front row at one. That's different.
What does that do to you?
Shift your perspective on life. You know what I mean? Make you see not only that is life short, but that it's a gift, and because everyone's time is so different, what am I doing with this gift? Like, oh man, I need to accept all of it, even the ugly, because it is really a gift, this experience. It's a karmic experience. And that's another thing I used to hear about and not know nothing about it. You know what I mean?
You have to tell me because you've done a lot more work in that space.
No, so
I really haven't. That's one where you were like with healers and all that. I haven't really got into that.
Well, you're your own healer.
Space.
You might not need to, everyone, the path to it is all different as long as you get to the end of it. You know what I mean? You might not need to do all that or have to do all that to find that healer within yourself. I needed guidance, heavy guidance.
Still now.
Yeah.
What has been the best thing you've learned from that or that it's given you?
One of the greatest things I've learned that I'm still learning is that like food really helps with depression.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm an emotional eater. So my weight fluctuates. So like I get sad and want to eat a Twix or like pizza and stuff like that. But it would make me more depressed.
It's so funny that Twix is your
I love Twix.
Your go-to.
But then I learned that when I ate like higher vibrational foods, I wasn't so down. I wasn't so deep in my depression. So that's one of the things that I'm still trying to apply. And just that like healing is such a up and down experience. Like it's not just like, shoo, and then I'm gonna become a fairy godmother and fly away.
Right.
Like,
I'm healed. I'm fine.
No.
And then forever you're healed and fine.
No, I don't know if that's for anyone.
Yeah.
I've just learned that it does go up and down. And sometimes the shadow work is like that to me. Shadow work is really.
What is that?
So it's just like digging deep into your ego self and why you either have envy or why you have feeling to compare yourself to others, or why do you feel
shadow work is a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. And there's many fun people like I do shadow work. I don't think shadow work is when I hear shadow work, I think about like it's like you ever shadowed somebody at work. how you follow them, like it's your first day and they're like, I want you to shadow this person. So you're behind them, you're watching them, but you're kind of just trying to get a feel for what they're doing. Shadow working spiritually is like the demonic forces or the good entities behind you that's shadowing you, that's kind of like helping you navigate and manipulating your choices for you to be successful or not successful. So when I hear shadow, I don't hear a good thing out of it personally. And I know it's forms of shadow work, but it's another conversation.
You know, depression. So digging into that shadow work, that dark side of your other self, that's hard to face, right?
Yeah.
Because and then I was really big on judgment. Like I could look like they don't need to that. Yeah. And then
when you think you have it all together, you're very quick to be like, I would never do that.
I was so good. Like, I'm not judging a soul no more. Because I just realized in my shadow work that my judgment of them was my judgment of myself. It was just really my harsh judgment on myself. I didn't give myself no slack. But it appeared that it was that judgment on others.
I feel like that too. And that's one of my things. It's like, even if you're going through something, why we gotta be heavy about it? I'm always like, whenever I want to talk about this, but I don't want to be heavy or heady or like preachy or soapboxy. I hate a soapbox.
Yeah. No, but I'm deeper than the earth. Like we can go all. I'm dramatic too, so I'm like, oh, we can go all the way. Nip used to say that, like, you are deeper than the earth. God damn, like.
But wasn't he though?
Yeah, hell yeah,
he had a lot of nerve.
He was like a highly spiritual, intelligent person. Like he was all into space and stuff like that. I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. But the funny thing about that is that I feel like I know, and I hate this about it, but I feel like I got to know him so much more, like a lot of people did, after he was gone.
That just means his purpose lives on. You know what I mean? That just means his purpose did not leave with the body, that the spirit just kept moving.
But what the whole world saw and kind of fell in love with, or fell deeper in love with after you were living that.
Yeah, I think, but here's the thing, when someone leaves their body, then they become like ultra human. I was living with the human. Man.
So he was not perfect.
No,
he was not this perfect. Like,
who is
doing the right thing, but all the time.
No one is. But you know, he had good intentions, and I think that we are really. Intention is so important. We're really like kind of our lives are based on like our daily intentions. He had really good intentions. He really meant well.
See,
he was doing great work.
Yeah.
I love how she broke it down. I give her that. She was like, you know, who is? See, we often, when we look at these celebrities and these men and these women, and we look up to them and then things happen and then, oh man, you let us down. No, they were human in the first place. And we tend as humans to be so judgmental that we put people on pedestals and then don't give them any room to make any mistakes. Now, some stuff I get it is beyond point, but a lot of stuff as humans, we are judgmental. But I love the fact that she was like, Nipsey, he was a human, but when he died, his presence, who he was, had truly elevated to the next level. And she truly, you could tell she respected it in that manner. Like, I don't think everything Lauren did was out of ill intent, because you could be used by people and realize later that you were being manipulated in some sorts. Like, you might have known that they wanted you to go after them, just some business, like, you know, I want you to go talk to him, but not knowing the whole time that you're being used and the man that you being used. And that's how you could fall in love with the guy, have a child by him, you know, all of the stuff that shows a real relationship. But to the person who sent you might not have wanted you to do all that shit. And then if he felt like, yo, this one of my girls, one of my ladies, one of my women, yo, you got some nerve. I got to get rid of this nigga.
Was doing was not light work.
He loved for people to be at a high level. Like, he was not a hater. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he wasn't really he wasn't someone that operated out of his ego in that space when it came to other people.
Sometimes when people pass early, there's signs of it earlier. This might be a little weird, but and then there's some that you never would expect.
No, I thought Hustle was Superman. He'll live forever.
Really?
I thought I was going to go first.
Really?
I would always ask questions like, what are you going to do when I die? Like, I was always so morbid.
You would think that? You would think that?
I thought I was going to die early in my 20s. Because I don't know, I had these like crazy dreams growing up. So, but then I had Cameron and I was like, oh, I guess I'm not going to pass early. I just never, growing up.
That should make you wonder, just that whole aspect, like why did you feel like that you were going to go? What contract, what deal, what agreement with whatever you got an agreement with did you sign your soul over to make it to where you know or felt like you was gonna go? And it's almost like what was supposed to happen to you traded places with Nip. Because see, let's talk spiritual to all my men out here in the world and all my women, and listen and hear me out closely. As men, the woman we choose, just like she chooses us, but the woman we choose, we take on her spiritual load, her emotional load, her good or bad or demons, everything, vice versa, right? So your karma becomes her karma becomes your karma. You could be in a fucked up cycle that's not even your karma, whether man or woman. So if death is surrounding an individual you around, it could catch you and not that individual. But my question is, why did you feel that way? To, like, you know, and I'm not saying I having dreams, but think about it.
If I didn't have such an attachment to Earth. This sounds weird.
Yeah, no, but please.
Okay.
I like it.
I was a little weird. I didn't have an attachment.
There's no wrong answers here.
Okay, I didn't have an attachment to Earth.
Because you were a unicorn.
I was a unicorn. Yes. I don't know what the fuck I was, but I didn't have an attachment. And then I had my first son, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll be here a little longer.
Man, listening to this weird ass shit Lauren is saying, and I'm spiritual and I'm in the space and knowledge, but that's weird. Shadow working. I didn't think I was gonna be here. The dreams I'm having. I have no attachments to Earth. What? See, that's what Obama mean, that we got eyes but don't see, and we got ears but don't hear.
And then like good things started to happen. It could have been my trauma that I was just like over life. Yeah. And then good things started to happen to me. And I was like, oh, I like life. It's cool. Okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So I always have these, I ask people hella morbid questions. I don't anymore because it just got too real. Yeah. But I used to ask hella.
Tell me one.
Like, oh, I want this song to be played at my funeral.
Oh, you would think about that a lot.
Girl. And then one time I was in the car thinking about it and the damn song played. And on the radio, I was like, let me stop thinking about this type of shit because I could be willing this shit into my life.
That's what I want.
Come on, man. Come on. She clearly has an infatuation with death. She's into things. She's into things that Nipsey probably didn't know about or found out through time. As I'm listening to Lauren, I'm realizing that she is a witch. If you understand what I'm saying, a witch is an educated woman, but depending on how she uses her gifts and her abilities, or they call it magic, or her abilities, you can use it for healing or destruction. This whole time we've been listening, and I didn't peep this the first time I watched this, because it's easy to watch this or listen to this and we look at Lauren like, oh, that's Nipsey, why we need to deal with respect. Nah, move all of that, everybody under investigation and just listen. But we talking shadow work, and that's dark. I just listen to her, y'all. Like something isn't right.
And even when I named this, I was worried about, like, if I say that all the time, does that bring it? I'm like, no, because my intention is really, it's not about that. It's about life. It's about just reminding ourselves that our time here is limited.
Yeah.
And so then once I kind of came to grips with that, then I was like, oh, it's okay. I'm not willing, because
you're not willing.
I'm not willing that.
No, right? Okay. No. I think you're giving out information, and you're also making people comfortable with a topic that we
don't ever face until it's too late. Or until it's
we're not prepared. We're not prepared.
And then there's a whole other thing about it that we're not prepared for, just in dealing with it. Like
it's the 3 years. It's the 3 years later, Tim, for me, that I feel really kicks in. The 5 years later, like,
what is that?
Because at first you're in shock, and then there's a lot of attention and love around you, and then people get back to their lives, and then now you're like, well, how do I get back to my life when it's shifted so much? And then what does life look like for me now? And then you're like rebirthing. Then someone dies and now you're in a rebirth, but you're in the rebirth. And that's weird.
And then people kind of start going away.
People, they live their life.
Because death isn't death. It's another birth. You're born into life and then you're born out of life. Because you're born out of life because you're being reborn into another place that nobody has lived and came back to tell us. but it's a birth. That's why our ancestors used to be so proud to die in war, because they was ready to go to the next, if that's what it took. But I do agree with Lauren on that point. It was a beautiful point.
Yeah. Then they start talking bad about you again. They don't give a fuck about you no more.
Who is talking about it?
And if I could be fair, I would say this about Lauren. If I could be fair, I'd say this about Lauren. I could clearly look in her face and tell that she does grieve and that she cared about Nipsey, right? But I definitely can tell that she realizes that it's things that they used her for that she might not have been aware of completely, but she knows because you can see it in her hurt. But I'm not saying that Lauren is this evil person or wanted it to happen. You get what I'm saying? So I just wanted to be clear.
No, I'm the same. Anybody.
Right now,
no. Anybody. No one did anything. Okay. But you know what I mean? They're like, oh.
Because do you feel like there's an army of people out here that want to protect you?
I do. Yeah, I feel like people do.
Like
love
you said,
me.
who did it right now? I feel like there would be an army of people that would show up for you.
That makes me feel good inside.
You do, right?
I didn't always feel like that. Yeah.
I feel like you are definitely, people want to protect you and people want to like show you love. Even when I say I'm talking to Lauren, they're like, oh God, how's she doing?
See,
everybody's like, oh, there's like a soft, like, I don't know, there's like a
maybe because people
spot.
knew I was on my way out. I was feeling like, I don't know.
No, I did think about you a lot though during those times and prayed for you a lot in that times. But now that you're like, and then you get to a place where you want to do rebirth. How are you doing that? Are you doing that?
I have to.
You started working again.
Yeah, I just finished it. Yeah, I just did a whole movie.
You did another. Well, you did the movie.
Oh yeah, I did it too.
Michael B.
Oh shit, yeah. Yeah,
Hello.
You're right. And that's so grief also messes up your memory.
Wasn't that the first time?
Yeah, that was the first
thing
yes.
you did.
But grief really strikes your memory different.
What does it do?
It just like you block out a lot of things. You know when you're pregnant and you're like, I have pregnancy brain?
Yes.
Grief brain is real.
Really? And still happening. Is it still happening? All the time.
There's people would tell me about something that happened in 2016. I'm like, yeah, I don't remember. I like block a lot of my old life out in a weird way.
Are you proud of yourself?
Now, you can sell physical products on Amazon and compete with thousands of other people selling physical products.
Yeah.
Why?
It's gonna sound crazy, but I'm taking there was a time I couldn't even take a shower. There was a time I didn't even laugh, and I remember feeling so dark. Like, am I ever going to laugh? You know what I mean? Am I ever going to something really make me chuckle genuinely? And yeah, I have laughed, and I take a lot of showers.
You take a shower? Did you take a shower today?
I took one today.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Your hair is done. You look like you got
my nails are done. Yeah, like you know what I mean. Yeah, I mean I was really in a dark space. I think, and I am someone that I don't just feel it. I go in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just proud that I'm not where I was 3 years ago.
What do you want to do still? Have you thought about that? Like, what is if we're talking about like our time is limited here, like what do you want to do with the rest of that?
I really want to like be peaceful, and I would like to like give peace to others. It's very simple. I don't think I don't have like these large accomplishments anymore. Where like, oh, I want to win an Oscar. Like I don't have those.
Did you use it? That was used.
Yeah, but I think that was because that was like expected. Like that's what you're supposed to want to do. Yeah. I don't know if I ever really cared, but I think I just want to. I just don't want to miss my mark. Whatever God has for me to do on earth in the realest way, I do not want to miss that mark. I just want to do that every day.
So do you know what that mark is, or are you still figuring it out all the time?
I'm still figuring it out. I do feel like having a good intention, speaking out, you know, being kind to people, not overexerting myself because then I'll be a fraud. I do think that a lot of my work now might not be in front of the camera. It might be behind the camera and encouraging someone else in front of the camera. I want to be more creative behind the scenes.
Is there anything you don't want to do that maybe you used to do?
Red carpets.
I felt that deep. I
don't really want to walk those no more. Damn.
If you could live your life perfectly.
Never again.
Never again.
Or work out.
feel
I
you.
wouldn't pick up a damn weight.
No Soul Cycle for you?
Oh, child, no. I would be sitting up there chilling in the mountains. But yeah, I mean, I am grateful of the jobs that I recently just did. They were really good.
Dope. What is anything you want to share?
Yeah, I just did this movie with Kenya Barris, Eddie Murphy, Nia Long, Jonah Hill, who's my new best friend.
He's dope.
I love me
he's
some
really
Jonah.
funny.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, no, it was a really good film, and it was the first time I ever did a.
Remember I told y'all before, what did I say to y'all before earlier? The question is, you want to say after Nipsey died, did Lauren, what will happen with her career? Is she going to elevate and start doing all these movies and become this big superstar? Because that's the question. And I'm listening. And it's like, that's what I want y'all to pay attention to. Right? Pay attention to all of the little things.
Movie outside of Without Remorse, where like I didn't feel the pressure of having to like be a certain way. I just showed up.
What is that normally how you feel? Like you have to be a certain way?
No, yeah. Well, you know, you just want to like make sure your lines are perfect. You just want to make sure you're perfect. You have all this pressure of like being perfect. And I was just an observer. I just watched and I was just a part of the experience. I wasn't in my head about it. And that was new for me.
Do you feel like having had gone through such a trauma and tragedy that there's something also beautiful that you get after going through that?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just more present as a mom. You know what I mean? And I have this like freedom of just focusing on them and my relationship with God. Like that's it. That is it.
What do you pray for most?
Peace.
Oh my God.
I pray for peace a lot. All 24/7 peace and protection. Those are really important for me.
For you, for your family,
for my
kids.
family.
Yeah.
For my family. Yeah.
What about anger?
No, and that's the thing. I'm not angry. I'm not angry as much as I am like, you know what I mean?
Never at no point did that kick in?
Of course, it does. And you know, I get agitated with people easier. Or I feel like it came disguised as control. Now I have like strong control issues that I'm working through. I have to control every little thing in a weird way. Because maybe I don't want to be angry
or surprised.
Groover has helped.
Or maybe you realize that you were never in control of things around you. Maybe you realize that that this whole time that you were just an obstacle in many ways to be used to get to certain people.
Could be underneath that. Sadness clearly is anger, but it hasn't showed up how it used to. Where for me, I used to like ready to fight.
Who was you fighting?
Oh my God. Myself mostly, but you know what I mean? Anything, anybody, like anything would piss me off. And I'd be like, well, what were we gonna do with it? You want to fight? No, cool. Shut it up. Like, you know what I mean? That was always instead of like talking things out, I'd be like, are we fighting? No, so shut the fuck up. You know what I mean?
In relationships too, you combative in your relationship.
No, I'm not fighting in my relationship.
Not physically, but
am I combative? I think I used to have a really smart ass mouth.
Yeah, I could see that. I could totally.
I think I was always. I always say I'm not good for the male ego. I'm not the partner for. If you have an ego that needs to be stroked, I'm not your girl.
You got the wrong chick.
Because I
said, if you got an ego that need to be stroked, I'm not your girl. It's like saying, I think, and that's what it means. That it's in today's time, and I'm not gonna knock her. You know what I'm saying? But at least she honest. She said, if you a man with the ego, then that's like saying if you're a man with some nuts. You know what I'm saying? Because not all men base their thing off ego. Like if it's ego, like it's the difference between ego and being egotistical. Because the ego is like also the part of self that make you feel like, yo, I'm better than this person. I'm better than everybody. But the ego is also the part that make you also look at people like, I'm not doing that. I got higher self-esteem. I'm better than that. But they don't teach y'all that. Humbleness is disrespectful by definition. I'm not humble because that's low self-esteem. When you read the definition of humble, it just sounds like a person with no self-love and no understanding of their self and no love for their mind or their self. Right? But when I hear that, if I be sitting down and talk to a woman and she be like, I'm not the one for a man with an ego, I'm leave you alone. Because it ain't about having an ego. It's the fact that what you have accepted already as a woman, that even though you know your mouth is foul and disrespectful, you have accepted that because we live in a time in a world where as a woman, you can run your mouth and be disrespectful and not forget physicality. Where's the true balance of this? Because there's no consequence. It's just that you could be mad, you could yell, you could flip out, you could be overly emotional, and a man is supposed to understand it, right? And that's not to get sidetracked, but when she said that, it shows you character. So that mean that when her and Nipsey was beefing, if she ain't got no, so that mean that you want me to believe that Nipsey is strong, as sweet, as cool as he was, as sweet as a soul he was. We also know that he was a Leo and that he has a fiery side, right? So if you're going to sit there and say a man with no ego, like you think you're going to deal with a lion with no ego? Something ain't right.
I'm giving all truth. I'm truth down. Like, not so much. You know what I mean?
They probably love that about you.
And I think it makes me a good friend.
Because it's honest, right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep it real with you. Because I want you to be your highest, you know?
And you're like that with your kids too, I imagine.
I'm so honest with my damn kids, my poor kids. But
at the same time, the question is, but can they be honest with you? Can they be honest with you? Because you could be honest with everybody else. Like, think about it. I'm not just saying with Lauren. You could be honest with everybody in the world. I know a lot of people that be like, yo, I'm just keeping it real with you, bro. Da, 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 da. But when you go to be honest with them, they more shallow than the kids they raising, man or female. Right? And this taps back into, we live in a time where right now, the 30 to 50-year-olds, most of us, you can't be real with them. You can't be real with a person today. Today, being an adult is like being back in like middle school. For real. Being an adult today is like being back in middle school. And that's just being completely honest and blunt about it. You know what I'm saying? So the more I listen to Lauren, the more I just see through her. And what it's like what you portraying and what's really is two different things. You get what I'm saying? So
that makes them trust me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes them, and that makes me trust them.
How are they doing through everything?
You know, theirs shows up in different ways. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, you know, kids they internalize everything until they get in their teens. So I'm sure, you know, I'm trying my best to help them cultivate how to deal with their emotions as best as I can through therapy. And, you know, I try to be an example. So like they see me meditate, you know, they come with me to my spiritual retreats. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because
my kids would never.
Well, they're really young still. I'm sure Cam is over it, or like any type of like church or anything that I do that feeds my soul, I share with them, because I feel like I don't know where they're gonna go with their life, but as long as they have the tools on, like, you know, I remember my mom was angry or stressed, she did this, let me try that. So I'm just, you know, they're doing great. Much better now.
Thank God.
Yeah. And I just love on them so hard.
I can tell.
So hard.
They're so cute.
They're so cute. But they're really dope. Like, they're really, I'm like, you guys are my favorite human beings on planet Earth.
I love that. Are they showing signs of what they want to be or what they want to do?
Yeah. So Cam raps really well, but I don't know if he wants to do it because I think it comes too easy for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he like freestyles like crazy.
Wow.
And he can make his own songs, and he's really good with numbers and math, and he wants to be like a finance guy. He's like,
he wants to be a finance guy?
He's like, I'm going to be, he loves numbers.
That's so cute.
And I think Cross just wants to be Spider-Man right now. We don't know yet. He's just
How old is he?
Five.
And what do you tell them about that? Do you talk to them?
Yeah,
I feel like you don't ever talk to kids
about
well,
I had to. I was the one who had to break the news to them. So yeah. So, but no one could have done that for me. I had to do that.
Of course. Nobody prepares you for that.
No. Even though, you know, in my previous years, I went to a seminar about death.
Okay, you have to tell. Well, you're just telling me this now.
I know, yeah.
If I'm gonna be funky with y'all, I always question Lauren's spiritual, like, not like what she believe in, but like her character, because I have a hard time believing that you can mess with Wayne I have a hard time believing that you can mess with Lil Wayne and then mess with Nipsey. These are two completely different opposites. Completely. Lil Wayne stands for nothing. Nothing. He doesn't stand for anything. The black community, nothing. He doesn't stand up. Right? We know about him and his sexual relationships with Baby. Right? Before Young Thug replaced him. We know about that. That's documented. So you go to Wayne, which I get it, the old Wayne when people had the craze, right? But that's completely it's completely opposite of each other, not gang-wise, just spiritual personality, spirit, everything. But I get it. She was younger, right? So I get that. But ask yourself, what's the intent? Like, just like you said, what was Nip's intent? What was her intent for their relationship?
Please share. Why?
I have a friend.
Why were you there? And what did you learn?
I learned that no one really dies, and that, it's just an experience in the physical form, and we're attached to our personalities, but that we're just souls, and that we continue and continue and continue. And if you have a spiritual relationship with someone on earth, you will have one with them when you leave earth. So I did this 2-day seminar on death.
And this was how long ago?
I had to be 25.
What sent you there? Do you find that weird though?
I'm weird.
No, it's not weird that you would go. It's almost like you were prepared.
No, what's weird is that when she keep asking Lauren these questions, Lauren keeps smirking and smiling look, I got a lot of sisters. If I'm talking to one of my sisters and I'm asking her questions and she keeps smiling like this, or if you talking to your woman about stuff that ain't making sense, and well, where were you at? And they keep smiling. That's the smile that women know, okay, what man got you? Because she was I was with a friend, but she's smiling. Now, I'm not saying you got to stay attached to Nipsey or nothing, but it's weird.
Weird, though?
I'm weird.
No, it's not weird that you
continue. And if you have a spiritual relationship with someone on earth, you will have one with them when you leave earth. So I did this 2-day seminar on death.
And this was how long ago?
I had to be 25.
What sent you there? Do you find that weird though?
I'm weird.
No, it's not weird that you would go. It's almost like you were preparing yourself for what you would have to do.
Well, I told you I didn't have such a connection to earth at a young age.
I know, but you don't find that as you were preparing yourself for.
Remember that she kind of was acting at a young age. When I keep hearing her say I didn't have a connection to earth, what do you think she's talking about? You got to think on a deeper level. She could be saying she's not really human. She could be saying she sold her soul. I mean, and I'm just jumping out the window, but why do you keep saying this expression?
For what you were going to have to deal with.
Well, that we're all going to have to deal with.
That's true. Point. All right. Very good. That's a solid point, Lauren.
You know what I mean?
Solid
it's
point.
not just me. We all have to go through it.
This is the point of this conversation.
Right?
Yes. Sorry. I forgot. Even I forget sometimes. This is going to happen to every single human.
It is.
But why were you so aware of that? And what even sent you there? You just
I am a little bit of a fanatic about truth. So if it's something, I love truth. So I think I'm telling you, I did a lot of spiritual work as a young girl because I had a pretty traumatic childhood that I needed to get some peace. Now, this is my second trauma, and this is my second quest for a deeper spiritual understanding. So now I was reading all the books, but now I'm applying all the books. So yeah, I did this seminar. I went to this conference with a friend of mine who actually is a intuitive. And it gave me.
Let me give everybody right now, let me give y'all some knowledge and secrets from in the aspect of spirituality. You can't buy, and let me move this screen real quick. I want y'all to look at me when I'm speaking. Look, you can't buy consciousness and understanding. I'm not saying don't go to seminars or don't read books. Because if that's what it takes to spark that light, to light that match, to cut that light on in the mind, and do that. But in order to truly find spiritual growth, this will be done in isolation of self or with your wife or husband. But first, it has to start off in isolation of self. So you have to isolate yourself, and at the same time, you have to humble yourself, meaning that humble yourself to the truth, not just find the truth, meaning that I'm going to look for the truth. So no matter where it leads me, I come in and I got these questions, but I have to be humble enough and real enough with myself to accept where it leads me for the truth. Because often the truth is not what you think it is. You know what I mean? So when you're on your spiritual journey, your keys is not understanding what's around you. Man, know thyself. I self-law and master. Don't think religion, think that I self-law. I am responsible for knowing the laws of nature, earth, the universe. Look outside around you. Your spiritual awakening is going to come from your understanding of who you are, your history, where you come from. That's the earth aspect. The scientific, the zodiac, that's the astral, talking about space. That's the astral prospect, or the way how we look at it, right? There's the connection between, man on earth and the emotions and all of that. That's the emotional connection, the feelings, right? There's a connection of us and the animals and everything around us, right? So you get me. You got the water domain where you got to deal with the fishes, and all of these things are key to your growth, but you're going to find them from isolation, right? When you want to be great at something, it's like you're going to spend a lot of time doing it. So I just want to be clear about it. We have to stop thinking that our spiritual growth is going to come from now. I'm not saying don't read no books. I read books, and y'all know I always talk about books I read and what they say, but I'm searching and I'm digging, and books give you ideas or point you in directions for you to go look and for you to find out, or for you to check, or for you to recorrect, right? Your spiritual journey is going to come that way. It's not just going to come from you going to these seminars. They're good for you going to these places, but you have to take the step by yourself forward. First step is first recognizing that you don't know and that you want to know, and then being willing to go. But at the same time, on your spiritual journey, you're going to kill the old you, and you're going to be rebirthed into the new you. So everybody around you is, to you, you're going to see yourself growing. They're going to watch you, but then you're going to start to change mentally, and you won't even feel like the same person you were. Like you will have no connection to old you. And then, so the spiritual journey different, because then who you was around before your rebirth, they almost don't fit around you completely. They still your friends. They still this. We talking about family, everybody. But as you keep going through, the true name is metamorphosis, right? Humans are like, the caterpillar go from a larvae to a caterpillar, from a caterpillar to the cocoon, from the cocoon to a butterfly. The human's mind and spiritual growth is of that. It's just the fact that on human level, because we are so manipulated and blinded in where we are today, we just stay at the larvae level. We never make it to the cocoon. You get what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say that to y'all.
A better concept of it. It didn't totally prepare me, because I don't think anything could really prepare you for that. But it gave me language to talk to my kids about.
That's amazing.
So I say the words transitioned, and, I always say that, like, daddy is everywhere, and, he feels us, we feel him. And anytime there's something you want to say, you might not hear him, but you'll feel it and follow that guidance and write letters and talk to him, or, stuff like that.
Do you feel like empathetic to other people who kind of go through things now in a different way? I consider myself to be like a super empath, almost that I have to work on it to.
Every month, this Airbnb pays me in semi-passive income. Now
It's crazy because I'm an empath as well. We can feel people's pain.
It doesn't even
because I feel sometimes a little too much for people.
But that's your power, and if you calm it down, then your intuition won't be so high. So don't calm it down.
Yeah, but does it really serve? Well, if 3 people in the room are down, does it serve for you to go down with them?
No, you don't have to go down with them, but that's really good. You're an empath.
I agree with Lauren. See, if you're an empath, that means you have the ability to feel how other people feel. Hold on, right? If you're an empath, you have the ability to feel how others feel and how they look at things, right? But at the same time, as an empath, you also take on other people's wars. So if you're an empath, you have friends and family around you where you get caught up, you can get caught up in other people's wars. You'll fight the battle for them, win the wars, and then when you got a war, you looking around because nobody to fight your wars, but you so wounded that everybody around you so used to you coming to fight their wars, they figure that you don't need no help in your wars, you help win their wars. So being an empath is good. And Angie is saying, well, I don't know if being an empath is good because if 3 people around me are in a bad mood and I go around them and then I'm gonna feel their pain and I'm gonna get sad, it doesn't help. But like Lauren said, no. And I had to learn to deal with this as a spiritual being. Respect your gifts, love your gifts, and learn how to accept them to get to the next phase of your gift. Because we fight ourselves and our gifts all the time because we don't understand them. So with me, I always knew like I could be around people. This is why I fell out with a lot of people, because let's say I'd have been around you a lot and then I see you one day, we chilling. I'm like, bro, what's up? You all right? And they're like, no, I'm good. Ain't nothing wrong. But I know something wrong because I can feel it. It's my gift and my curse. And they're going to tell me, but for days they telling me nothing wrong, but I already know something wrong. I can feel it. Right? So you have to learn to accept the things that some people might say, like, man, bro, like that's your weakness. Nah, like it's me, I'm a man. If you know me, you know I'm a man's man, but at the same time, I'm an emotional man. I'm in tune with my emotions. And I had a woman tell me one day, she was like, it's not that. She was like, there's nothing wrong. She was like, you're masculine, and all the women know you masculine. She was like, but to people or women who know that that's emotional intelligence. It's not when you say I want a man in tune with his emotions, where it became known as emotional intelligence. But understand that emotional intelligence comes with intelligence and the lack of how should I say, the lack of tolerance for things not right, for immaturities, right?
That means you're really intuitive.
I think we should all be empathetic.
Yeah, but some of us aren't that touched with other people's energy because we're too much in our own.
But you don't think consuming other people's energy could sometimes not be?
Well, you have to learn to like.
Well, this is what I'm working.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
I can't. You know, if my friend's like going through, I can't go down with you. Like I have to be able to hear you and then go have my day.
That's your practice then.
It's so hard.
See, I don't have that issue.
Oh,
I wish I did.
No, you don't.
I mean, of course I have like compassion.
Don't wish for any issues.
No, but I mean, I wish that. I guess I am, and I guess I am. I do pick up my energy really well, but I do know how to shake other people's energy off fast.
That's good. You need that probably, especially in this town. I was thinking about you when I landed. I was like, either you see like NIPSEY is everywhere in LA. There are murals. There is like,
oh yeah, no, it's not easy.
And then I thought, I wonder if Lauren has ever thought about moving, or does she enjoy being?
I want to move all the time. I just know it's not the right time for my family if I leave.
But you also love LA.
I love it. It's tattooed on me.
Yeah.
It's to the death of me. I love LA, but it's too heavy for me right now. Yeah.
Everywhere you go, right?
Not even just, I mean, it's not even that because he's in my house everywhere and I sleep and wake up with him on my mind. So I'm in it. But it's just that LA feels really heavy. It feels heavy for me.
And so for your kids, you would stay put. Is that
I'm staying put right now. Yeah. And then I just don't think it's like a good time for like the rest of our family that loves us and wants to make sure they have a close eye on us. And, you know, but yeah, I would go to the desert. And
what would you do in the desert, Lauren?
I don't know. Sit.
Build a hut with your children?
A nice hut. A real nice hut. a glamorous luxury hut, honey. We still need our
I'm just trying to figure out why in the desert it's hot as hell. Literally. Why the desert?
Comfort. No, I would. I don't know. I would just be. I think still need.
Could you really? Because we say that.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
Really?
Without a doubt.
I don't know why I don't believe you.
I don't know why you don't.
Because I still feel like you have one foot in where you're like, you still love, I imagine you still love what you do. Like, do you still love acting? I
do love acting.
Okay.
I don't like the politics with acting.
Okay. Oh, the business of it. Probably.
I don't like the business of it, but I love action.
She said, I do love acting. This before the Diddy shit, but I don't like the politics of it. Meaning that understand what she's had to do to get roles at times. She might not have did it every time, or believe you me. If you, as you listen to Lauren, Because she just identified before Wayne, before anything, she had a childhood trauma already. Right? So that's why some men and women come up from such bad traumas that what's being asked of them to do for the fame and money is nothing compared to what they came from, and it's going to get them out of it. Right? So it's deep.
And then you say, I love that. I love that.
Well, this is why I say you still have 1 foot in.
But I could like come and do that and go back.
Yes, that you could do.
Yeah.
But you don't want to give up. Or you do. You just want to disappear.
No, I sometimes do want to disappear, but I don't think that's a part of my calling.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think I'd be being
Sorry to
selfish.
say, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think I'd be selfish, and I think then I wouldn't be complete. But the selfish side of me would love to disappear sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you do things for yourself like that? Do you do?
They have to force me out.
Outside?
Mm-hmm. That's right. And then now I guess I have a reputation that I don't go nowhere. Because I'm like, no one invites me anywhere. No, for nothing.
Come on, guys.
I'm going to say it. They don't invite me nowhere.
Maybe they're
BET
worried.
always invites me.
They
Thank
do.
you, BET. Y'all make me feel seen. In essence, thank y'all. But and nobody else. They don't invite me nowhere.
Why do you think that is?
Because, Yan says, because I don't go nowhere.
Well, because you have to be, they have to remember.
Okay, let me say this because I was just looking at Lauren's birthday. Lauren is a Sagittarius, right? But if we go deeper, because the Egyptians created the zodiac, hold on 1 second, y'all. But if we go deeper, because the Egyptians created the zodiac, I would say she is her Egyptian zodiac is she has the Osiris personality. So it's actually not so weird that she has an infatuation with death, because Osiris, and just to show you that the Egyptians understood energy of the astral plane and how it connected to our personalities on the day we was born. It says the sacred animal for her sign is the bull. And it says let me say this. It says that her nickname, Osiris's nickname, was like the god of the underworld, right? Most people like her end up being like morticians and, you know what I mean, educators of that field. So it's actually not as weird knowing that. But it also means that a lot of times they enter the occult or the dark art. So it's easy to go over left or right too much. So just wanted to point that out, that it is unique that that's why she has such an infatuation. If you understand zodiac, it's in her already. But how she uses it or what she's been dealing with while learning is the issue.
That you want to be out and
I know. But yeah, that's what happens.
Legacy. Do you ever think about yours?
Yes.
What is it? What do you?
I would love to leave generational wealth for my grandkids. And I would like to leave have a sweet place in everyone's heart that I met.
Because people look at you and they see Nipsey forever, right? Do you have a responsibility, or do you put that responsibility on yourself to kind of almost like rep his legacy? Or
I mean, especially for my son. You know what I mean? We share a 5-year-old, so yeah, I have to. But I'm very big on integrity and honor naturally. So I'm going to always intend to hold myself up and have integrity in what I do and honor in what I do, and, try to always think about like, what would Hustler do if it was me? So I just try to maintain that, what he would do.
That feels like a what will Hustle do. I feel like the Marathon store should have a what will Hustle do t-shirt.
I'm always thinking like, what will Hustle do in this situation?
All right, so I just wanted to go over some email. Oh God. Okay.
I think it's dope, and I'm one thing I will say is that I won't stay on this because I wanted to move on to the next thing, because I just think it's interesting. I just want you to investigate. That interview with Angie Martinez and Lauren London. You can find that if you YouTube it. And so the next part of the conversation that we're gonna go through this morning is, I was watching this show the other day, and I just thought it was crazy because this is where we are today. And so I remember in the last year, so everywhere I went, they like, yo, the dating world is crazy today. This shit is out of hand. This da da da. Yo, the world is crazy. You can't trust motherfuckers. And just lighten up the mind before we go into the real meat of it.
So mad.
No Diddy, as they say.
This is what you've been doing at court? This is what
I can never trust a nigga ever.
I really appreciate how you.
I cannot believe he's gay.
So like, do y'all have like unprotected sex?
It's off and on. Some days.
Literally been going crazy. I have not been to sleep. I've been paying this nigga bills. I've been doing everything for him.
From my last video, you might remember a girl named Tia who found out that her boyfriend was cheating on her with a man. Well, in today's video, we are finally here with the update.
Like, I'm really finna have this nigga's kid. Like, I'm really pregnant.
But before we get into it, let me give you guys a quick recap on everything that happened to refresh your memory. In today's video, we executed yet again another epic loyalty test. Tia feels like her boyfriend is lying to her about going to court.
You just told me you was leaving court.
The reason she feels this way is because he will come home at 2 in the morning. So we set up a plan to track him and see exactly what he's doing.
He just hopped in the car.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, guys. When he pulls off, I'm gonna pull off.
I don't know how to feel right now. I'm so overwhelmed. Like, I'm shaking. Like, I just see him going through his phone right now.
What's up, man? You be playing, and I can't stand that. Like, I really want to be with you. And I can see it. I can't say that. I done showed you everything. I did everything. You showed me everything, but you still with that girl.
Damn. I think he gay.
Are you serious? Really? Are you serious? This is what you've been doing at court? I wasn't there.
Beyonce,
come down here. Talk like a man.
Hey man, it ain't funny. Like, this ain't funny, but it's like, this where we at now. So she felt like she was cheating, right? This show's crazy. It's called, you know what I mean? And they retracted for you to let you know what was going on. She felt like he was cheating because this dude, he investigate and he'll go and they'll set it up and do all this. But then she found out it was a man, and this was the question, because there's a lot of this going on in the world today. But where this is going, ain't none of us prepared for.
Man.
Wait, stop.
Talk like a man.
We have trackers. We have trackers on the car.
The gun, y'all, so let's just hopefully, well, he's parked right here. Just hoping it gives me my equipment and my camera and my mics, and we can go. As I'm walking up to the car was completely abandoned, and Dante was nowhere to be found. As you guys know from my last video, Dante suddenly disappeared without a trace. However, still in the car was the cameras and the mics and the audios recording, and we still had everything that happened right before Dante suddenly disappeared. So when we look back at the cameras, we were able to hear some audio, and this is what we heard.
Starting route to 9123 Drive.
Damn, dog. Hello? Yeah. Man, this shit been crazy, bro. Some crazy shit went down, bro. I really need to come over to your spot, really, for a little bit, just for the night.
He literally put the address into where he was going right before he hopped out the car.
Starting route to 9123 Drive.
And from the grace of God, Google Maps repeated the exact address right back to him out loud, so we knew exactly where he went. So all that we had to do now was meet back up with Tia the next day and go to this address to see if he was still there. Look, y'all, before we get into this video, let me give you guys a huge shout out to the sponsors of today's video. Imperial Extractions has the best prices on top shelf flour with many flavors to pick from. Kush package.
We ain't gonna hear all that.
So that next morning, I hit Tia up to drive to the address so we could get answers. I hope this is the house.
I hope so too. I see somebody coming. Mm-hmm.
How you doing?
Hello.
How you doing? I'm so sorry for interrupting what you got going on. Are you familiar with a guy named DIDNT? When we arrived to the house, we were shocked to see that another grown man answered the door.
DIDNT. What about DIDNT?
Well, basically, I know it sounds really crazy, but this girl right here is his girlfriend. We literally just found out last night that he was cheating on his girlfriend with a man, and we're found a way to make it here right now. And are you
okay? First, what's up with all these cameras? And you said this is your girl?
My name is Tia, and I'm actually pregnant by him right now. And DIDNT, yes. And I just found out that he was homosexual last night. And
I think you might be talking about somebody.
This is the right address, right?
I think y'all might got the wrong address.
I can explain a little more just for more context. Last night, he literally drove off from us when we tried to confront him. We found this address because we had cameras tracking him, and we had audio of him saying this specific address here. And the fact that you know a guy named DIDNT, it's like,
I know a nigga named DIDNT. That's my nigga. I don't know who she's talking about. Another DIDNT.
It can't be your man. Seriously, if I'm pregnant by him, and yesterday I just caught him with a whole nother man that wasn't you. So clearly you can't be his man.
Y'all gotta be pulling some type of prank on me because my nigga.
Is he here? Is he here?
Could we possibly?
It's a DIDNT here, but I don't know if it's the DIDNT she's referring to.
Can we come inside?
If this is the guy that we're talking about, he has a baby with this woman. And when I tell you guys, everything from this point on went completely left. You will never believe what happened.
DIDNT, bring your motherfucking out here. You got some explaining to do. Hold on. DIDNT, get your sleeping in my motherfucking house while you got a here pregnant. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get your up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Is this the DIDNT?
You gotta be kidding me right now. You gotta be kidding me right now.
Daddy.
This is the second time. Are you serious? You're not even the same one from last night.
So basically, after that night, Dante hopped out of the car and found a way to make it to this house where we met this guy named Sugar.
Tell the truth.
You ain't finna. I ain't finna be doing this for my mother.
I pay your bills. I pay your bills. I pay your bills. You're going to jail. I pay your bills. I'm the one that pay your bills.
So you really I be talking that. You really be this. Really? So this the who got pregnant? No, I ain't. Cause I'm.
All right, first thing that I saw that was crazy was you see how when he came out the back room, he yoked up and grabbed her like, yo, da 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 da. Now I want you to pay attention how he was all aggressive with her. But then when old buddy is on his ass right now, he getting pushed around. But then this is a question I asked a lot of women. So you can't tell me that you ain't know that he was gay? I'm just asking. It's like sometimes you gotta start asking yourself deeper questions. Like I told her hunger, like, yo, you come on, like you can't be the first time you ever like just being real. And somebody may be hiding it, but I'm saying like this what we on? This is the type of time where it's like my issue is that it's not a shot at gay people. It's me saying at the end of the day, it's the manipulation when gay men or gay women are still messing with other people that's not in that world or that community and lying to them about it. You know what I'm saying? That's the issue. The distrust. And that's the reason why I'm bringing it here. Like, who you love or whatever, that's your business. But when you start manipulating and bringing your world to other people's world and not being honest with them, I think that that's some foul shit.
I can't make this up. This guy literally has fat ass on his pants.
Baby, this is mine.
Are you serious? I've been paying your bills.
Who is this?
I
I'ma kill
cannot
this nigga.
believe
I'ma kill this
it.
nigga. So you really getting out here pregnant? After I've been holding you down in motherfucking prison? You ain't no motherfucking bring your around here.
Listen, we gotta talk. We need to talk. No. We need to talk. Believe you say. What am I supposed to do?
Who held you down when you was in prison? Who put money on your
What am I supposed to do?
Who held you down when you was in prison? Give you a place to
What the fuck? How long this been going on? You gotta talk to me. Tell me something.
Talk about this. Let's just talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Wait, can we get answers? So Dante, what's going on? Like, why did you really ever love her?
Did you love her?
She's my girl, bro. What you mean? Like, I love her.
What am I supposed to do about this baby?
She got my seed.
Do you even get checked? Have you been to the doctor?
Bro, come on now. You know.
You love her?
You got some?
No.
Bro.
You love her?
What's up, bro?
Fucking behind me. What are you doing? This. For me.
You love her? You love her? You love her?
This over me? Are you? So you don't love me?
You love her?
After that crazy conversation, Sugar has had enough.
You held you down to prison. Now you finna go right the back. Hold on.
That's what we are as a culture. We this far lost and this fucked up because this is happening more than we know. And when I sit back and I think about this situation spiritually, it's like we live in America now that has no morals, no value, no standard, right? We're so lost and confused, right? We all living like we on fucking TV. So when people say, well, what's the problem, man? This is what happens when you broadcast certain things all over television. It becomes no more reality to people, right? You create that. You can create a lust in a young kid's mind of men because of what you're marketing, the same way how you create a lust for young boys when we see women on TV. But I think it's crazy. I've seen this shit from the environment I come from. I've seen this happen more than I probably should have, this type of shit. And then Shorty got to pick herself up. And then I watched women to start feeling like they're not attractive, they're not beautiful enough, they're not this and that, when it had nothing to do with you. It was that nigga. Excuse my language, it was that man. You know what I mean? It was him. So I think that that's one of the issues.
I play 911 games. Girl, you can cry.
I can't believe you, bro.
At this point, you guys, Sugar decided that he needed to call 911. Yo, I'm filming. Damn, I'm filming, eh?
Now, it's such a sensitive topic that I just think that I brought this up because I've seen the situation and it beats up on the self-esteem of a woman, right? And there's a lot more men that's undercover than what people want to play with and act like. And this is real, like something that I noticed, like from being outside, moving around the last couple of years, it's a lot of people that's like on the low. And it'll be people you never expected, but you just got to pay attention to your signs as a woman. And a lot of us as men that's out here, it's like, it's a lot of people that's not being truthful with who they are and what they on. And as a heterosexual man, I'm never afraid to speak about it. I'm not here to offend anybody, but I'm always be straightforward. And that's my views on it. So I think it's crazy how untruthful a lot of men are to their homeboys and to their women wives and to their children. Right? We're gonna hit the next topic, which is 3 pyramids you didn't know about in North America. Listen, he said, even though although Egypt is known for glorious Giza pyramids, as it turns out, African continent isn't the home of the most pyramids on earth. So we clear that I didn't make that up for everybody who pay attention. In fact, to the south, in present-day Sudan, an ancient civilization built more than 200 pyramids. Halfway around the world, the American continent, several ancient civilizations. Hold on, I'll go back. Maya, Aztec, Olmec built majestic civilizations. Did you know that North America is the home of the largest pyramid on Earth? It's called the Great Pyramid Cholula. It's a massive structure built a total of 4.4 million cubic meters, which means that it's even larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza. It has a total value of 2.5 million cubic meters. Even though it is difficult to count all pyramids, North America has more than 1,000 pyramids alone. Central America has more excellent examples of pyramids, and South America has some of the oldest. And see what they tell us about America, we're gonna hide it. They said the Brazilian pyramids was built, they were smaller, but they were built out of seashells. We're gonna get into this eventually as we go through it, but seashells. So that's a different, most of all the pyramids on Earth are built out of limestone. So when I see different types of designs, it's either they couldn't find limestone if it is the right, or they found a way to use the seashells as right. It said this is one of the many reasons why the pyramids were destroyed, since people in the 19th, 20th century confused them for piles of rubble. And more than likely, it was a civilization that probably came after the pyramid builders who had technology, but had the idea of how to build them, but they used something else because that's what they had abundant. Since many were destroyed to make place for livestock farms, and others crushed in order to make room for roads and settlements. Pyramids were developed independently in civilizations across the globe. If we are to look at the mainstream chronology of ancient Egypt, we will find that the first pyramids appeared around 4,700 years ago. The Brazil pyramids predate their Egyptian counterpart, but we just learned the other day that the oldest pyramid on Earth is really in America. You notice that they're only talking about Mexico and South America. They never hardly anybody ever speaks on the North American stuff. But you already know there's already more pyramids in North America and Central America than in Africa. Without the Americas, North America. The North American pyramids, okay, like those found in present-day Mexico, are believed to be temples that were essentially step pyramids. The pyramids created by the civilizations such as the Olmec, Mayan, Aztecs are massive and superimposed structures that the builders would stack one temple on top of the other, creating essentially a pyramid similar to that of Doja. Precisely in Mexico is where we find some sort of striking examples of pyramids. Not only is Mexico home of the largest pyramid on Earth, but it's also the home of the great variety of ancient pyramids, which date back thousands of years. But here are 3 North American pyramids you probably didn't know about. El Tijan, the pyramid of the city of Mexico. El Tijan is the home of various step pyramids built in ancient times, but has one pyramid that stands out from the rest. It's called the Pyramid of Niches. and it is some of the unique pyramids of all of Mesoamerica, some of the most unique. The pyramid El Tijan was completed around the 8th century CE and featured 365 symmetric positioning square niches. Archaeologists surveyed the pyramids that revealed ancient structures may have been built in ancient times in order to illustrate solar calendars. So we know everywhere we went was the pyramid of the sun and the pyramid of the moon. So that was telling you that they was using the pyramids also as astrological calendars and pyramids and stuff and clocks. Another striking example of unique pyramid in North America is the pyramid of Camalacacco. As far as we know, the pyramids created in the ancient Mayas were built out of limestone. However, this ancient structure was not. It's like basalt, probably basalt rock. Located in the state of Tabasco, not far from Villa, whatever that is, the pyramid is unique because it was built out of fire brick. Tula perhaps is the best known because this ancient pyramid hidden beneath the hills is truly gigantic structure as revealed in the Guinness Book of World Records. The Great Pyramid is the largest pyramid of ancient monuments ever constructed. I wanted to show y'all that because I told you I will be taking, it's my intent while we on the podcast that I'm always take you around America, North, Central, and South America to show you the history, because in order to understand who you are or to understand the true history of the world, regardless of what you look like, we have to understand North, Central, and South America, and we have to understand China and Asia, because that is we've been taught Africa, but we don't understand what really happened unless we know what happened everywhere else that leads up to where we are today, right? My last documentary was actually something I wanted to give to the public about COINTELPRO. It's the organization that's put together by the federal government to take out black leaders and like the people like the Panthers, and this documentary is on that. So I really just gonna let it play and let y'all really digest it, because you know every day at the end I'm gonna give you the knowledge and information. I ain't never gonna really leave without giving you some real substance. So this is called COINTELPRO and the Black Panthers, the real Black Panthers. We're not talking Marvel. So show this to your kids.
When these efforts started to show a little bit of success, that's when the government moved in.
COINTELPRO was the code word for counterintelligence program, and it was a program that the FBI created in 1956 to go after the Communist Party with intentions of trying to neutralize the party, put it out of business.
In 1967, they start what became known as MH Chaos, a code word for illegal domestic operations within the United States.
We can say that the COINTELPRO was a kind of codification for white supremacy in America, because the function of the FBI was to preserve white political, social, economic supremacy in America.
Counterintelligence staff under James Angleton was not the only CIA office which was involved in illegal operations within the United States and with the general attempt to get information on the foreign hand in the protest movement. The Office of Security was another major effort by the CIA.
I've seen top secret documents from the White House authored by Nixon communicating with J. Edgar Hoover specifically about the Panthers.
Hoover had, well, if you want to call it an enemy list, had lists, but it's difficult to say what Nixon's men had. They pulled the Watergate, so I guess they could do just about anything.
The Black Panther Party was looked at as the #1 threat to the internal security of the United States of America. These are word by word, verbatim quotes from J. Edgar Hoover.
The year of '69, every branch and office of the Black Panther Party in one way, shape, fashion, form, or another was attacked by the power structure, law enforcement agencies, and so on.
And people walking around out there like walking wounded, you know. Just like they've been in Vietnam. Victims of gun battles and sieges and isolation and torture. And destroyed families and dead parents. But nobody knows about them and nobody really cares. And that story is one that hasn't been told yet.
At the University of California at Los Angeles, 2 Black Panthers were shot to death during a black students' meeting on the campus last Friday.
2 FBI informants in the United Slaves had shot and killed Bunchy Carter and John Huggins on the UCLA campus.
The US organization slapped a member of Black Panther Party at the time, Elaine Brown.
Was doing with John Huggins, so when she told him that somebody from the US organization had slapped her, he pulled his pistol out. This is when the 2 brothers, supposedly Steiner brothers, supposedly steps out from behind the doors and open fire and kills John and kills Bunchy.
And the FBI agent who was controlling 2 informants was concerned that some white students might have been shot on campus.
The members of the US organization were taken from the crime scene with the FBI.
The government or whoever, power, COINTEL, whatever, they were able to kill a party when they killed Bunchy. When they killed Bunchy, they killed the party. We just didn't know it.
But you and I and they are all the same.
I think it was April 1st, 1969. We were taken down to the Manhattan District Attorney's office in the wee hours of the morning after having been roused from bed by teams of machine gun toting policemen. Gene Roberts had the dubious distinction of having been Malcolm X's bodyguard when he was assassinated. He was one of the major agents in the Panther 21 case.
They brought us all in and put us in one room. They brought Ralph White Sedan, the other undercover agent, with his sawed-off shotgun, and they brought him in with his head down like he's under arrest, took him in another room, and they had Gene Roberts sitting in another office, sitting down, looking like he was depressed, like he was arrested.
And it was down there that we realized that there were 3 undercover agents that were actively involved in framing us for the charges for which we were arrested.
After they get the conspiracy charges on you, they let the agents out the side door, and they go back out in the community as nothing's wrong, or they were still Panthers when they wasn't Panthers at all. They were just agents that infiltrated the Black Panther Party.
Most of the Panther 21 spent 2 years in prison after a trial that lasted 15 months. A jury came back with a not guilty verdict in 45 minutes on all 150 counts of conspiracy. It was a colossal victory to have defeated the state's attempt to criminalize the leadership of the Black Panther Party.
Elridge Cleaver, the Black Panther leader who fled to Cuba to avoid being returned to jail, arrived in Algeria today to attend the Pan-African Cultural Festival in Algiers. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover today asserted that of the black extremist groups, the Black Panthers represent the greatest internal threat to the nation. In his report for fiscal year 1969, Hoover said the Panthers have perpetrated numerous assaults on police and have engaged in violent confrontations throughout the country.
You might murder a freedom fighter like Bobby Hutton, but you can't murder freedom fighting. And if you do, you come up with answers that don't answer, explanations that don't explain. You come up with conclusions that don't conclude.
Fred Hampton, who, by the way, I would look at as one of the true leaders of the Panthers.
Extraordinarily talented. 21 years old. Articulate,
watch some of his films, hear him speak. There was a dangerous man. He could persuade people that there was injustice, that the United States ought to be changed.
Black people need some peace. White people need some peace. And we are going to have to fight. We're going to have to struggle. We're going to have to struggle relentlessly to bring about some peace, because the people that we're asking for peace, they're a bunch of megalomaniac warmongers, and they don't even understand what peace means.
He was the heart and soul of the Chicago chapter of the Black Panther Party, and just an awesome motivator.
We hate the oppressor, whether he be white, black, brown, or yellow.
And he began to forge coalitions between various street gangs or youth organizations in Chicago. And by doing that, and by being a charismatic leader and being one who could mobilize the people, particularly the youth, he became noticed by the federal government.
We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary. And you're going to have to keep on saying that.
The FBI never personally killed any Panthers. They always had local police departments do their dirty work. And they began to devise a scheme that culminated in his assassination while he was asleep, drugged by his security officer, who was also a police informant.
City police in Chicago murdered Fred Hampton.
It had happened apparently about 4 o'clock in the morning on December 4th. I didn't hear about it until 6 o'clock that night because I wasn't in town. And they popped this picture up on the screen. Actually, 2 pictures, one of Fred Hampton and one of Mark Clark. And I was just stunned. I was just staring at the screen, and I realized I was crying.
They shot that place up in ways you couldn't believe. His wife, pregnant, shot up in the bed there. She survived, as did the fetus, but Fred's body was riddled. The walls of the room riddled. You could count scores of bullet holes there. He never got out of the bed. He was murdered right there. 2:30 in the morning. They claim they're serving a search warrant. Don't we know anything about human rights? You don't serve a search warrant at 2:30 in the morning. You don't come crashing in with guns blazing and kill people asleep in their beds in the United States of America, or do you?
In essence, was an assassination authorized by the FBI, or sanctioned by the FBI.
The Criminal Conspiracy Unit of LAPD, their mission in life was to investigate extremist groups, primarily the Black Panthers. And the FBI had a special unit called the S2 unit. They euphemistically called it their racial squad. Their focus was on the Black Panther Party. So the FBI's racial squad and the LAPD's criminal conspiracy section worked literally hand in hand in bringing down the LA Black Panther Party and its leadership, Pratt in particular.
When Bunchy Carter and John Huggins had been assassinated, Pratt became the leader of the Panthers, and now the FBI had to get rid of Pratt.
Geronimo Pratt was a Vietnam veteran. He'd been a paratrooper and won many medals in Vietnam, including a Purple Heart. He trained all the Panthers in Los Angeles on how to defend the office against attack. He was the defense minister. So he was clearly somebody that the FBI was out to neutralize.
December 8, 1969, Los Angeles, Special Weapons and Tactics, Criminal Conspiracy Section, LAPD, FBI.
The Black Panthers, as we all know, were destroyed as an organization through these illegal FBI operations. And certainly the CIA violated the privacy and the rights of thousands upon thousands of Americans through the illegal operations which they agreed to do under Richard Helms as director.
Any and everything was done to members of the Black Panther Party to destroy not only the Black Panther Party and other organizations, but to demoralize people, to discredit us in the eyes of the people, to criminalize our existence in the consciousness and minds of the people.
It's physical violence and torture per se. There's nothing modern about it, and there is nothing sophisticated or scientific about it. It is the base against which psychological warfare has its meaning.
We went to interview Dr. Mutulu Shakur, who had cured thousands of drug addicts with the experimental treatment of acupuncture. We found him in an underground prison.
The Black Liberation Movement in 1969 lost something like 43 people were killed, and something like 785 people were arrested and put in prison. In any other country with the population that New African people represent, in any other country in the world, that would be considered war.
We went to interview Mumia Abu-Jamal, the Peabody Award-winning journalist. We found him awaiting execution on death row.
In essence, when one looks at the aims and objectives of the federal government through the FBI, by way of the COINTELPRO program, what one really sees is a war against Black America, a war against any, in the words of the files, in fact, the emergence of a Black Messiah who could lead Black America.
In 1970, there were tremendous trials. The United States government began to try to sweep up all of the leftovers of the 60s into these major conspiracies. And they had the Black Panther trial, the Chicago 7 trial, the LA 17 trial, the Wilmington 10 trial, RNA 11 trial. There was just tons and tons of these types of trials. Many of our people went to the wayside psychologically, emotionally, and physically.
15-hour shootouts, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Los Angeles, San Diego, the frame up of hundreds of Panthers across the country on ridiculous trumped up charges.
I was arrested, I was 19 years old. We were the first Waco. The New Bethel incident, when the police came in, the Detroit police came in there to try to shoot up. Everybody in that church, men, women, and children, were having a peaceful demonstration to try to kill them. They were shooting under the pews. They were shooting at little children running and crying.
There's nothing to me has been more painful out of all the people I know that died in Vietnam than those comrades who died out here in the streets. There is nothing.
El presidente murió.
In 1970, my good friend Julio Rodin of the Young Lords Party was killed in the New York prison called the Tombs.
If they were doing it in Vietnam and it was perfectly legitimate to go out and kill as many Vietnamese as one could, or Viet Cong as one could, then why not kill enemies in the United States?
Today, a judge set Newton free on $50,000 bond to await a new trial.
Newton's last trial and manslaughter conviction were overturned by a higher court this year, so now he'll be tried again And in the meantime, he is out on bail. He is back on the street. Before Newton got out of prison, the founder of the Black Panther Party sat and talked about his plans for the Panthers now.
I plan to go on with our expansion, and also to make even a stronger tie with the struggling people of the world, because they represent 2/3 of the people.
J. Edgar Hoover today characterized the Black Panthers as the most dangerous and violence-prone of all the extremist groups now active in the United States.
There were forces afoot trying to undermine the relationship between not only myself and the leadership of the Black Panther Party, national leadership, but between the various forces within the Black Panther Party who wanted to make the Black Panther Party more responsive and democratic, and those who wanted to maintain the Black Panther Party as an extension of autocratic control of a Central Committee.
The Central Committee of the Black Panther Party, when I come out of jail, I reorganized it again. Huey and them was actually opposed to this. I said, no, we have to have a broader Central Committee. Because when I come out of jail, Huey was sitting there with him and David. He went to jail, and Elaine Brown and a couple of other people, and said, this is our Central Committee. And I said, Huey, this whole supreme commander crap has got to go. And these are the private conversations I had with Huey, you know. So my point becomes, he was trying to absolutize himself.
We had felt that all the contradiction that was happening between David Hilliard and all the other people in the party, the central leadership and the breakdown in centralism and all of that, would be resolved when Huey came home.
When Huey came out, Geronimo remained a member of the Central Committee.
For whatever reason, Huey, after he got out of jail, he wanted to have the total control of the party, but the way the party was set up with the Central Committee, that was impossible. Geronimo, being one of the strongest personalities on the Central Committee, just had to be eliminated. It was around this time that Elmer Geronimo Pratt was captured and branded as a agent by David Hilliard and the Central Committee of the Black Panther Party on the West Coast. Of course, this was a total fabrication. Geronimo was not an agent. In fact, the individual who pointed the finger at Geronimo and declared him an agent, Melvin Cotton Smith, was himself a police informer, an agent, who was assigned to Geronimo by David Hilliard.
A split apparently has opened in the leadership of the Black Panther Party. On a San Francisco television talk show, Huey Newton, in the studio, talked with fugitive Eldridge Cleaver, speaking by telephone from Algeria. Cleaver said a purge of Black Panther members is tearing the party apart, blamed it on David Hilliard, and demanded the ouster of Hilliard as Panther Chief of Staff.
Many of those confrontations, both on the West Coast and between the East Coast and the West Coast, happened because of the COINTELPRO program, what they call Program Brown Mail. They would write to one person and sign their letter. They would write to another person and sign each other's person's signature.
And it really cracked the Black Panther Party in two by creating two factions.
All of this was happening at the same time that Huey Newton was planning his itinerary to come back east, and the government used the hysteria and the paranoia around these issues to give Huey the impression that the New York Panthers were unloyal to him.
They wrote to people in my name, signed my signature. And these were crazy letters that were written by the FBI. And Jeff Ford got a letter from Chairman Fred. Of course, they thought those letters were from each other. And the tone of the letters were incendiary, or you're a punk. If I see you, I'm going to shoot you. You're a coward. If you had guts, you would come down here. I mean, it was literally an attempt by this government to incite violence.
COINTELPRO was the whole cause of the split between the different faction in the party that caused the death of Sam Napier.
In terms of the actual physical integrity and well-being of the Panther, Sam Napier might have been the most important person. The newspaper was the most important entity and tool and institution that the Panthers had. and he was in charge of the paper.
The loss of Sam Napier wasn't just the loss of a person who was a paper salesman. It was like a spirit in the party, a strong, positive spirit that permeated the whole party. You lost like a friend, a brother.
Robert Webb was the ranking Panther in the entire East Coast. He had the rank of Field Marshal, which was a Central Committee position. It was an underground secret rank.
The police knew who these people were. The police knew that they had orchestrated this conflict, and they gloated over it in their documents when they said that they could take credit for the murder, for Robert Webb's murder, and that they could take credit for the irreconcilable differences in splitting the Black Panther Party. When Huey Newton came to the Northeast, we in New York were responsible for his security. The government knew this through their agents and through the mail. They sent threats, death threats to Huey Newton, purportedly coming from us on the East Coast, saying that, we were faithful to Eldridge Cleaver, and that when Huey came back east, we were going to kill him. And it was up at Yale University that Huey Newton sort of like got extremely paranoid. I was told that I was suspended from the Black Panther Party for threatening his life.
So life is very tough, and a funny thing happened to all of us on the way to the grave.
Huey, David sent me underground with Geronimo, but with no intentions of us being successful, but with the intentions of us eventually being killed. I think their plan was that we would be killed by the police. We would then become martyrs. They would be able to raise us as martyrs and go on with their own program. I followed orders, did what I was supposed to. Geronimo followed orders, did what he was supposed to. And then we end up being in the middle of the split between the Black Panther Party, and they use that as a reason to expel us and to break with Eldridge.
And at the same time that this was going on, the Panther 21 in prison were contemplating writing an open letter criticizing the leadership of the Black Panther Party around various issues.
It was only two things that could happen, that if we could either spend the rest of go to prison or the cemetery. And knowing that people like Twyman Myers and Robert Webb and Sam Napier and Fred Bennett and Fred Hampton had made the ultimate sacrifices, that meant that we could either back up and give up and let them win, or we could struggle against it. On one end, we had the Huey people who were out to do us in, and on the other side, we had the government who was out to kill us. So we were in between the rock and the hard place.
Out of that came the birth of the underground, the Black Liberation Army, the armed wing of the Black Panther Party, whose stated purpose was to start and initiate an offensive military campaign against the forces of reaction.
BLA came into being when those who did political work above ground, when they were more or less from the repressive forces, was forced underground because of their political work in the community. Then they became part of BLA.
So basically it was taking the war to the enemy instead of waiting the enemy to bring the war to you. And that's what the Black Liberation Army was about.
The public at large has a hard time understanding how often innocent people are wrongly convicted.
Los Angeles Police Department, the DA's office, and the FBI were determined that Pratt should stay behind bars. And so they tried to find some other case to bring against him. And they finally decided on an unsolved murder case called the tennis court murder that came out of Santa Monica, and charged him with this on the basis of some shenanigans involving a FBI informant named Julio Butler.
Julius Butler said at Pratt's trial he was not an FBI informant. We have a ton of material that clearly indicate that Butler was an FBI informant. As an example, here we have an FBI Federal Bureau of Investigation, August 19th, 1969, and all the information he was giving the FBI during that interview.
Of course, the FBI is going to place itself in a position of being able to deny
whatever happens, just the way they're denying that Julius Butler was an informant.
Butler said that he has written a letter containing information relating to an involvement of BP members in an affair that could put them in a gas chamber.
I mean, they had an informant file, and Butler was contacted about 36 times, but they said, well, he's not an informant.
Butler said that he was expelled from the BPP in August of 1969. At Pratt's trial, he said he was not expelled, that he quit.
Now, according to FBI's own records, their own telephone tap, they later realized that Geronimo Pratt was in Oakland at the time of the tennis court murder.
The ballistics person came in and testified that the bullet taken from the victim did not match ballistically the barrel of the gun. Well, the way they got around that was they had Julius Butler, as part of his confession, tell the jury that not only did Pratt confess the crime to me, that he did it, but he also told me that he threw the barrel of the gun away. So that took care of that.
The counterintelligence program had successfully divided the Black Panther Party into two opposing groups, and the Newton group had barred any members of its group from having anything to do, speaking on the phone, talking to, and definitely not testifying in trial of the other group. Geronimo Pratt had been expelled. He was in the other group. And so almost all the people who had attended these staff meetings in which he was present, in which I was present, were unable, upon pain of being expelled from the Panther Party, to testify.
This murder in Geronimo's case clearly was not Geronimo. Then those government agents need to be brought to justice. And that's the responsibility of people in this country at this point in time.
The FBI is considered an attempt to try to smash the Black Panther Party. They stopped actually attacking us. Didn't mean they didn't have no covert crap going on.
Infiltration of cocaine into the Black Panther Party, its leadership, Huey P. Newton being the main target.
And every once in a while I say, Huey, why are you snorting this cocaine? This ain't the thing. Now, I don't say this because I'm trying to destroy Huey's character. What I'm trying to tell people is you have to learn to know the whole truth.
I had clear impression that chemical warfare would be utilized against the Black Panther Party. We had taken a position in our rules against anyone shooting heroin and narcotics found would be immediately dismissed from the Black Panther Party because we essentially were anti-drug in our operations. I'd say in my analysis and reflection and research that there were mind control operations run against the Black Panther Party as well as a lot of other operations, psychological warfare programs. And when I say chemical warfare, I'm talking about chemical substances like alcohol and cocaine.
MK Ultra was what you might call a research program by the CIA to determine if psychotropic drugs, mind-altering drugs, might be used for intelligence purposes, either for chemical warfare, for the interrogation of intelligence assets, or the neutralization of targets.
See, you have to remember, if you read some of the COINTELPRO documents, they had a psychological profile on Huey, on me, on Eldridge. They knew they could use Huey, and they knew that they could trick Eldridge into a certain level of thinking. So, they developed this over a period of time. Now, here we got a situation where you got some party members that talk to me that they believe Huey got duped in to, on a small scale level, methodologically destroying the party.
And the party basically went from a people's organization to Huey's private army. That's basically what happened.
It was agreed that I would run for mayor of Oakland, and then Huey insisted that Elaine Brown had to run for city councilwoman at large. We lose the goddamn campaign. And then I found out late May 1974, that Huey was trying to take over the drug trade in Oakland, California. So I said, Huey, the party is over.
The committee will resolve itself into executive session. The room will be cleared
and swept.
No director of the National Security Agency has ever before been required by Congress to testify in open session.
There is a great deal about the best intelligence service in the world that we would be proud to tell, to bring into perspective what we have had to say recently about the missteps or misdeeds of the past.
I believe that I can go back over my experiences in the Justice Department and find some areas in which the Bureau is not fully accountable to me. Yes, Senator.
William C. Sullivan retired as the FBI's chief investigator 6 years ago after a falling out with J. Edgar Hoover, was killed in a deer hunting accident in New Hampshire today. Sullivan was 65.
Bill Sullivan, who was the number 3 man in the Bureau in charge of Division 5 Domestic Intelligence, expressed extreme remorse to me about his role in suggesting an anonymous letter to Martin Luther King for Dr. King to commit suicide a week before he was going to be called upon to testify before the House Committee on Assassinations. He was out in a pasture near his New Hampshire home, and he was mistaken, supposedly, for a deer by a young man out hunting, and was killed.
I understand from the news media that the son was an experienced hunter, and I don't know how an experienced hunter could mistake a man who's dressed in a red plaid jacket for the head of a deer. I mean, I have never seen a red deer, but maybe they're out there somewhere.
But if I could get a virtuous woman,
who's the boss? Well, in a human society, there aren't really any bosses, but who is the real leader and who is the person whose words are most meaningful to the party as a whole? There hasn't any question about it. I mean, it always, that Huey is that person.
I had the distinct impression consistently from 1971 that Ms. Elaine Brown was a highly placed intelligence operative inside the Black Panther Party.
I think Elaine Brown came in through Earl Anthony, and she followed the same course of devious type of activities. So I'm saying all this to say that they got involved with people and caused a lot of problems, but we was aware of it. We just wasn't aware of the extent that the LAPD, the federal government with its COINTEL, the CIA, FBI, we wasn't aware to the extent that these people were involved.
She acknowledges in her own words, in her book, Taste of Power, that in fact she had been educated, groomed, taught at the hands of a longtime Central Intelligence Agency operative, J. Richard Kennedy, who anyone can find out about in David Garrow's book, The FBI and Dr. Martin Luther King.
So many party members literally have told me they believe this, that this woman was connected some kind of way and got step by step, piece by piece, got Huey hooked over into some notion that he could get more money behind the scene if he step by step methodologically demised the Black Panther Party.
We've always wanted to represent the will of the people. They're not interested in socialism at this time because they believe that they can get their just desserts in this capitalist system. When the people democratically want to change in system to a socialist system, then the party will be the first to have solidarity.
John Stockwell, former station chief of the CIA in Angola, he said, well, I want to say this to you very clear. The Huey P. Newton that people see today is a direct result of operations run by the Central Intelligence Agency to ensure that he would turn out the way that he is.
Some people have a distorted view of me, and it gives me very much trouble. It adds to the sort of timid personality that I already have. It makes me uncomfortable because I know that I can't give them all of those things that the idol is supposed to. And I don't want to appear to them a fake, but I would just like to tell them that that, I'm just another regular human being.
Huey P. Newton was never the same. He eventually became Dr. Huey P. Newton, PhD. He eventually became a crackhead, and he eventually was assassinated in Oakland in 1989. In the course of our journey, we discovered that certain individuals involved in the demise of the Black Panther Party were also the same individuals who were involved in the demise of the American Indian Movement.
It began in 1973 after the Church Committee hearings, when they proclaimed that they were never going to execute covert operations against dissenting organizations. Yet, at the very time they were conducting such an operation against the American Indian Movement, a program directed towards the American Indian Movement, very similar to the program directed against the Black Panther Party.
The same bag of tricks in each case. You have a very concerted disinformation campaign. You have the insertion of infiltrators and the development of informants. The use of the infiltrators as provocateurs, attempting to convert bona fide activists into provocateurs or disruptive elements within their own organization. They literally would unleash death squads to make sure that the people who were living on their $1,200 a year in the tar paper shack would continue to live on the $1,200 in a tar paper shack.
One of the personnel who were involved in persecuting and later framing Geronimo Pratt was also involved in the fabrication of evidence to convict Leonard Peltier. This was an FBI agent by the name of Richard W. Held.
Well, Richard the Elder, which is Richard G. Held, was basically one of the architects of COINTELPRO.
Strangely enough, both the father and son were involved in the operation on Pine Ridge, which led to the frame-up of Leonard Peltier on murder charges.
Basically the paramilitary operations of 250 to 300 FBI agents, SWAT personnel, on the reservation for about a 3-month period of time to once and for all break the back of the American Indian Movement.
Armored personnel carriers with heavy machine guns, M16s wearing camouflage uniforms, overflights by Phantom F-4 reconnaissance jets and Huey helicopters, and remote sensing devices. It was very much like what was deployed in Vietnam at that time.
When the people went into Wounded Knee, there were chiefs and elders and some of the American Indian Movement members. These were the Oglala people. They didn't have any weapons. They went in there peacefully. They were surrounded with machine guns, armored personnel carriers, so the people picked up arms. And, there were no comparison what the government had. We shot back. It was self-defense.
The government spent nearly $1 billion in the military operation on Pine Ridge. And that's $1 billion in 1975 or 1973 dollars. That's probably more than all the money invested in social programs on the reservation from 1870 onward. A people's movement to control the resources and land on the reservations happened to coincide with the energy crisis. In the Black Hills, there were at least a dozen large multinational corporations, energy corporations involved. And the government purports to represent the people, but it really represents vested economic interests. The movements that are working for positive social change threaten the interests of the transnational corporations, and the government is essentially an instrument of corporate policy.
Leonard Peltier, leader of AIM, the American Indian Movement, had been in jail for 20 years. We finally got permission to interview him. 3 days after we saw him at Leavenworth, he was moved. No one knew where to.
Leonard Peltier is a prisoner of the longest war in the history of the United States. That's the war against the indigenous people of the United States.
He didn't shoot anybody. He didn't kill anybody, yet he was convicted because 2 FBI agents had been killed, and somebody had to pay.
The question then becomes, what is he in that cage for? And the answer is to serve as an example of the arbitrary ability of the government of the United States to repress the legitimate aspirations for liberation of Native people, all Native people. He serves that purpose so long as he's there, even though it's known that he's not guilty of the specific offense for which he was convicted.
He's been sentenced to 2 life sentences. But finally, they admitted in the last argument of the case in November 1992 that they didn't know who shot the 2 FBI agents. They said it several times in different ways without any ambiguity. We don't know who killed the agents. We don't know who fired the fatal shots. And yet here's Leonard Peltier serving these sentences. We're addressing President Clinton to give clemency to Leonard Peltier in the name of simple justice. Now.
Create a race of slaves. There has been a right-wing coup. This country is controlled by the Pentagon. Now, who do you suppose killed Kennedy? The National Security Agency had the hit team.
The United States Army, of course, has its contingency plans for putting down civil disturbance in the United States. They had these programs in the 1960s called Cable Splicer and Garden Plot for entering onto the scene in the event of civil disturbance in the United States. These activities continued on into the 1980s, but the main agency that became involved on the civilian side was FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
The FEMA has created a great deal of paranoia, probably for very good reason. Their whole reason for existence is to take control and keep things going in time of a crisis of, earthquake or military crisis. And in the instance of a military or political crisis, we don't know what extremes they're willing to go to. They've drawn up their martial law plans.
One of the things that grew out of the military contingency planning, such as Cable Splicer and Garden Plot, was the military assistance to the police forces in organizing these and training these SWAT squads. So these are, in fact, outright militarized police units, even though they are civilian. And the United States military, the Army particularly, had much to do with the establishment of these units through the 1960s and into the 70s. Now, I think all the way across the country, there are SWAT units everywhere. And they started out in places like Chicago, I believe, and Los Angeles. But they were done with the help of the U.S. military.
Well, Rex 84 was a plan to draw up to collect dissidents around the country who might be involved in violent activity and throw them basically in detainment camps. Some people call them concentration camps.
They had, I believe, something like 17 military installations selected in the United States, where they would house up to, I believe, something like 150,000 or 250,000 people in the event that the streets turned to chaos if Reagan had invaded Central America in the early 1980s.
So despite what the director of the FBI may be saying currently, you can assume that they're still conducting covert operations.
They were going to round up every dissident and every person who took to the street, plus a lot of foreigners, at the same time, because they did not want to have the situation develop as it had against Johnson and Nixon over the Vietnam War. So in the early 80s, Reagan said, all he had to, it was all prepared statement declaring martial law, suspending the Constitution, and then they could go out and take everybody over to these military reservations, the equivalent of concentration camps, and just hold them there until what he wanted to do was done.
The government is definitely shifting intelligence resources to the private sector. And one of the reasons for this is to escape public scrutiny under a law such as the Freedom of Information Act. Freedom of Information Act only applies to government agencies.
You have to imagine technology 20, 30 years in advance of what we're using today. All that is classified, and it's classified for a very good reason, because it's being put to criminal uses.
Bugging and interception of private communication, the disappearance of privacy, you might say. What's going on now is that there are large private corporate databases accumulated that accumulate information on individuals, track their activities, track their economic activities. These corporations, we call themselves credit corporations or whatever, but they're essentially intelligence operations.
Please listen, my brother and my sister too. Although these lines may not apply to you, we need less killing, less killing, more chilling. We can reach the pinnacle if our mind is willing. Let's drink more beer with the hell is shopping. Our minds, body, spirit with the hell is shopping. I mean to suggest what the hell is shopping. We can live a little better. I do profess to see the soul meanings to the bottle to the joint. It's a drama, no effect. They get my point. The joint to the coat, come to the dope, and you know what? You wake up either dead or broke.
If the ultimate weapon is a bigger subsidy, we will use it. It is worth it. It's worth $50 million this year, if that's what it costs to buy $3 million crop. If it'll do the job. Now, it may be there'll be social problems and the political problems and the rest of their embarrassment. It won't do the job. My guess is that $50 million wouldn't do it, but it is worth it to this country. If that will do the job, pay $50 million.
How it is that the United States, with all its military services, the Coast Guard, the CIA, the FBI, the DEA, and cooperating agencies, including local police departments, how they are not able to suppress the drug trade in the United States, how they cannot seal the borders and stop these shipments coming in, and then the whole distribution system.
The nature of the drug use and of availability of drugs began to change as the Vietnam War went bad. Specifically, there was a shift from the availability of relatively innocuous drugs like marijuana and hashish on the street to those drugs becoming relatively scarce due to federal drug programs, and they're appearing instead a large quantity of very pure, very cheap heroin.
DEA, FBI, CIA, military, they're all into this international narcotics trafficking. So it doesn't mean that any particular target is only the area of one intelligence agency, because there are all kinds of interagency working groups in which they coordinate their activities directed toward a single target.
The drug trade always supports the government's internal political agenda. It has never not supported the government's internal political agenda. For an example, the phenomena that we saw with the Nicaraguan situation, which we call the Iran-Contra affair, Iran had less to do with the Iran-Contra affair, in our opinion, than Colombia, because it was the Colombian drug pushers which opened up avenues for finance that the United States government could not get legally from the Congress.
Some of the Hmong tribespeople were involved in the production of poppies, and under the CIA, that production greatly increased, and the revenues from the sale of those drugs, which were flown out by CIA proprietary airlines, were used to further finance covert operations by the CIA.
So, What the United States government did was to get the ready cash through Elliott Abrams that allowed drugs, cocaine, to come into these poor communities all over the country as a means to then serve the secondary agenda, which is to sedate and control and criminalize as many of those Black and Latin people that they can.
One of the effects is to take totally out of the political picture a whole generation or two of young Black males who either get involved in the drug trade and end up in prison, or who get involved in consumption and do not get involved in politics. It's the state that builds the archipelago of prisons. It's the state that invents a rhetoric of 3 strikes and you're out. It's the state that invents a vocabulary that is soaked in crime, which is meant to describe the lives of young people, adolescents, basically.
I've spent 19 years in prison in the United States for my political beliefs. You were the symbol that helped sustain me and other African American political prisoners. We love you, and we will not give up the fight. We will not give up the fight. We will not give up the fight. We will not give up the fight.
I think we've had political prisoners in the United States for a very long time. On an official level, they would not admit this.
Of course there are political prisoners in the United States, even if the U.S. government will never admit to them.
Hey, I want to thank y'all for tapping in on the convo. I know today I kind of stayed out the way so I can get the gist of it to understand it for a lot of people that be asking me about it, because I was talking to a lot of people recently. Like I always say, I'm always talking to different groups of people, and a lack of understanding of what COINTELPRO is and everything that was going on in America and what their focus was. I gave this for the people this morning. The name of this YouTube documentary, for those, because I got a lot of inboxes about it, is COINTELPRO and the Black Panthers documentary. That's the name of it, COINTELPRO and the Black Panthers. I want to thank y'all for tapping in. Willie Walker, BH, Organic Minds. BH. Thank y'all. Tapping in. We out.